Because you got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been.
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 560th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call we have Matty Di Gialinardo and Andy Patterson, going live on YouTube from 8 o'clock every Sunday evening. The ad-free Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everyone listening through the week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube and Sports Social. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice, whatever you're listening to it right now. Throughout the entire month of February, nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. We managed to make it on as best as we can. We'll see if we can get to the top of the hour. Might be 9 o'clock at this rate. Got a bit of the zone coming up later. Edgar Berlanga's back next week. It should have been Usyk against Fury last night. It wasn't to be. What's Canelo going to do next? What are we going to do next? It's a bit of a slow week, isn't it? By all accounts, there's only the three of us. Andy has a bit of a sore throat as well, but we all motor on through. Welcome to everybody in the chat. We'll shout you out later. We'll maybe put the link in if you want to come on and talk boxing. Yes.
That sore throat. I mean, the perils of being sold into sexual slavery. Andy, I'm sorry. But I'm glad you've returned.
Don't encourage him to speak, Matty, before he has to. Come on now. We're not in Chechnya now.
Not yet, Steve.
Yes, not yet. Not yet. Before the evening's over, we might have been conscripted or drafted off somewhere else. Anyway,
the numbers keep going down. Fuck, might be relegated to Chechnya.
Exactly. Anyway, let's get on to Friday evening. They'll have a Friday or a Thursday night card, the Top Rank and ESPN. I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind this, but we wish them well anyway in the Madison Square Garden Theatre. Bob Arum was the promoter. Usyk Foster, of course, I'm referring to him. Split decision win over Abraham Nova, defending the WBC World Super Featherweight title. Scores of 115, 112 in Foster's favour. 116, 111 as well against a rogue 114, 113 on John McKay's card. Nova went down in the last round. Matty. Afterwards, Mark Kriegel made a good point, which is a bit of a rarity in itself. He said Foster was a bit too hard on himself in the post-fight interview. I actually thought the same as well. I know he wanted to perform. This is his new site. He's finally signed by a big promoter. He wants to put on a performance and all. But Abraham Nova's a tough guy. I think he worked him out pretty well, and he gave a good performance. And I would say, Usyk, if you're listening tonight, no doubt he is. I agree with Kriegel. I think you're a bit too hard on yourself at the end there.
I think he gave a pretty good performance against a very solid contender who in other divisions, given his capabilities, could be a champion. Nova really is a solid fighter. He definitely threw more punches. There were some swing rounds in there. I could see the 116, 111 at Foster, I guess, but I kind of thought it was a little bit closer than that. I don't know if Nova necessarily was able to win it, given that I think Foster probably won 3 of the last 4 rounds in what was probably a pretty even fight through 8 at the end of the day. But it came down to, I think, just the skills and ability and just that little bit of extra polish. It seemed as Nova kept throwing punches and he kind of started wearing down, and he got a little bit of sloppy at times. And whereas Foster was consistently able to keep his shape and stay in position to punch, landed some sharp shots. But again, kind of like like his last fight against Rocky Hernandez, he showed he could definitely be outworked at times, get a little bit lazy in there. So we'll see. I'm curious about his next fight. He said it'd be either in Navarrete, but Navarrete's bumping up to 135 for a fight against Baranchek, or the winner of Oscar Valdez and help me out, Steve. Australian went to
Liam Wilson.
Liam Wilson, which could be a hell of a good fight. Liam Wilson, I mean, might have gotten a knockout in other boxing jurisdictions in that fight, different ref, but so that could stand to be an interesting fight for him. I think he knows he's not fighting Cordino with everything that's going on, so he's focused on those potential top rank fights. But Foster's a really solid fighter, and you got to give it to him for getting it all together after a rough time and going to prison, taking some losses here and there and stuff. It's definitely a good story, and he's afforded his skills in the ring have afforded him the ability to dress his grandmother up as Bootsy Collins. So he's got that going for him, which is nice.
We've got that coming up as Bellew the week later on. Yeah, a bit of shovel never hurt anybody. You mentioned there, Matty, briefly about Emmanuel Navarrete being called out. Keyshawn Davis was chanting his name last weekend. I heard someone else calling him out as well during the week. And now, of course, they're kind of trying to link him up with Foster as well. Why does everybody want a piece of Navarrete? He punches hard. He's awkward to fight. They were seeing this vulnerability, but no one can quite capitalize. All these guys seem to think that they can be the person to finally beat Navarrete. I know he's lost in the past, but obviously on this new run, this new career incarnation, why do they all want a piece of Navarrete?
Because as he's moving up the weights, he is absolutely hittable. And if you're absolutely hittable, you're absolutely beatable.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a fair point. I would like to see him move on up, give a good account of himself against Baranchik, and then hopefully, I always thought they might put him in with Shakur Stevenson or something, but perhaps it could be Keyshawn if he doesn't fight against Teofimo Lopez. Let's have a look at the chat, guys, what they're saying. MB says, I thought Nova was unlucky. I had him 1 round up going into the final round. Then he got dropped. Yeah, afterwards he was trying to work out the maths, thinking that if he didn't get dropped, it would have been a draw. That wasn't quite the case, I don't think. Tosh,
no, 115, 113.
It would have still been a victory for Foster, even without the knockdown. Brendan says 100% knockdown. Andy MB saying, what are your thoughts on the knockdown in round 12? Nova himself addressed it afterwards in his post-fight interview. I thought he spoke very well, very candidly, very fairly. Actually, he was a little bit off balance, he acknowledged, but also he got caught with a flush left hook and got dropped on his ass. So yeah, I don't have a problem with a knockdown, to be honest.
He was squared. He was squared up, wasn't he? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was a legit knockdown, mate. It was so quick. I think I can rewind it back to watch it again, but it was a legit punch. No problems about that. Yeah, I agree with what Matty was saying in regards to the stamina situation. I think Nova, slightly gassed a little bit down the stretch. Foster, I really think he's coming into a kind of shape of his own at the minute. Actually, even though 30, went away and done the hard yards. I really like his style actually, because he was never really kind of flustered. Okay, he took some shots, but a lot of Nova's punches were kind of caught in gloves and arms. And when it came to kind of infighting and that, I really like Foster's kind of like metal in that as well. He was really kind of like digging in and turning them and really kind of working them over from time to time. It was good kind of ebbs and flows back and forwards. It was entertaining enough anyway. But I felt once I got over the second half and that, I think it was more kind of Foster's fight. Probably just didn't really get into it as much in the first half, possibly maybe because Nova was a wee bit more kind of awkward to kind of deal with. But once I says the tank started to kind of deplete a little bit of Nova, punches weren't the same, footwork wasn't really the same either, and I just think Foster started to kind of pick up the points a wee bit more clearly compared to the first half of the fight, and basically the knockdown, the 12 basically confirms it. So yeah, it was a clear win for me. And Foster, really like him, and to be fair, really kind of put him up a wee decent resume for himself as well at this point.
Certainly is, Matty. He mentioned afterwards that he was a little bit tight at the weight. You mentioned sort of the hard yards that he's gone through. I can't believe he was in the Mickey Roman era, who he stopped back in 2020, probably Roman's last fight or one of the final ones. But it was 18 months later, really, when he came to prominence, as far as I'm concerned. I think he was one of the guys who'd maybe signed with Bellew, went out to Dubai in an eliminator against Mohamed Yakubov, who was a bit of a straightforward Uzbek, I think he's Uzbek or Kazakhstani, come forward fighter. And I thought Foster looked really good that night, outboxed him, then went and beat Ray Vargas for the vacant title there. Even though Vargas, we've sort of laughed at him a bit, he was undefeated in 36 fights, and Foster whipped that away from him. And then obviously that cracking fight with Rocky Hernandez and that brilliant round, and then coming back to knock him out, and all on the road as well. Dubai, San Antonio, okay, fair enough, in Texas and all, but then back out to Mexico. He's fighting in sort of Nova's kind of Puerto Rican territory here as well. This time, I mean, he has to really solidify himself as a main event fighter. Again, Kriegel made another good point, saying that he has to just accept now that he's a bit of not a star, but he's maturing into an A side, and people are going to be coming after him, trying to take his scalp now. He's done the hard yards, he's done the hard road, and I'd like to see him get some big fights and big paydays now for the next few years.
Well, and you can't say that he hasn't earned it. I mean, that's basically what you're saying there is you come up the hard way, you face this adversity, relish in your accomplishments and give him a little bit more meat on the bone next time. And it's curious. We'll see. He said he was a little bit tight making the weight this time. After the post-fight, in the post-fight interview, he said he was looking at getting a nutritionist maybe for the next fight, see if he can still make 130 comfortably. But then you go up to 135 pounds, and I am impressed with Foster. I think he's a very solid fighter. I think he's he's in kind of that, like, is he a B plus? Is he an A minus guy? I don't know. But at 135 pounds, there's a lot of guys who you're wondering if they're an A minus or an A fighter, or Gervonta Davis, who's an A plus puncher. So he's in a weird place where I think it's almost necessary for him to make the weight, because I think he can shine at 130 pounds, but 135, I think he just kind of blends in with the crowd.
Yeah, I wonder as well, Andy, just closing out on Foster and his kind of next moves. Joe Cordino and Foster are the two standouts really in the division. That fight would have been nailed on for me if Eddie had have taken up terms and signed Foster, as I thought he would have done with his dearth of talent. The fact that he let him slip away to Top Rank was a bit of a surprise to me. But Navarrete, we don't know what's happening with him at the moment. Cortez was on the undercard. He's quite dangerous. Robson Conceição has fought, obviously, on a lot of Top Rank cards. There's a couple of guys in the top 10 who had really difficult weekends. Mauricio Lara, for example, ended up with a draw. Rakhimov got beaten. Looks to me like, as Timothy Bradley said, Lamont Roach, if he's not tied down to the PBC, that could be a natural unification, unless Foster decides he wants to move up for the money.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I don't know if it would be worth his time. Well, obviously, unless it's the money, obviously. But at this point, he's got belts. He's got bargaining position at least in that. I think at 135, against a fighter who's maybe got more precision punching and a wee bit more power, I think Foster could be a wee bit more trouble. If he's struggling at the weight, then obviously getting the guys in to help him with the diet, with the weight situation, and try and stay at 130 for as long as possible. If he can't get any of the unifications, I wonder if maybe Top Rank might look to try and get him in with Conceição or Valdez possibly. Okay, maybe Conceição. Valdez has seen better days as well, hasn't he? So
Valdez, you think it would be straightforward? You would imagine not a straightforward win, but the way he fights, Foster would be, if he's on his P's and Q's, he should be able to dance around him. Conceição is maybe a little bit more awkward of style, possibly.
Yeah, Lee Wood. He's seen him going at 135, or is he staying at 130?
I'm not sure what's going on with Wood at the moment, because last I heard they were trying to put him on in the City Ground, and then they said that Eddie couldn't deliver. So there's a lot of fighters in flux at the moment, it feels, doesn't it?
Feels like that anyway. So it was quite weird that obviously Eddie just hadn't been able to deliver for that one. I'm just trying to kind of get some of the names here. You see Rakhimov got stopped on Thursday night. You've got Hernandez there. Liam Wilson is what Matty mentioned. Ogawa. See Jamal Herring's managed to get himself back into the top 10.
Yeah, you could see them. Yeah, you could. Well, you just never know, do you?
Lamont Roach picked up that title off of Hector Luis Garcia.
Yeah, you got him.
Then you got my boy there is waiting for his title shot too. Otar Anoshin. I think he's an interesting dark.
Oh
horse
yeah,
in the
he's good. I
division.
like him.
Yeah, fun little fighter. Weird angles.
Yeah. Callum B saying Laura Drew he did against Daniel Lugo. We'll be talking about that later. Yeah, Wood could possibly move up, but then Andy, you've got the whole DAZN Eddie thing. He's not going to be necessarily maybe doing business with Foster now. And then Lee Wood, they were going to target Cordina, you would imagine, rather than Foster. So even him moving up wouldn't really make sense. He's in a bit of limbo, isn't he, Foster, if he can't get Roach?
Yeah. Who promotes Roach? You say it was Top Rank?
Well, Roach has been on DAZN cards in the past, but then he was on the PBC last time whenever he fought. Who did he? Was it Garcia he beat for the title? I think it was Garcia, wasn't it? Hector Luis Garcia, Matty, that Roach beat for the title.
Exactly.
On the PBC. I don't know if he signed up with them. We'll be talking about the PBC later on. Who knows if their fighters are all going to go sprawling? But yeah, it's difficult to know what to do with Oshaki Foster.
Yeah, and I've just kind of pulled up the Navarrete situation. So yeah, that's for the vacant WBO title. Whenever that fight happens, so yeah, I mean, so that's that potential unification out the window. So, what that be? Albert Bell and Liam Wilson get called for that one, or?
Well, that's what they're talking about. Albert Bell's been waiting for his chance for ages, hasn't he? I know he has a bit of an awkward style, but you can't really hold that against somebody. He's definitely a talented guy who should have got a shot way before now.
And the guy number 4 is it Brian? Is it Cavillar? He was on one of the cards there. Was it?
Oh, Brian Chevalier. Yeah, he lost.
Yeah. Well, he got iced off that Cortez. He was in the top 15 now, so he'll jump up. Yeah, you're right. He is in a bit of limbo, really. So really, it's either up. I don't know if Yakovov is still in position for mandatory shot there. You got Rocky Hernandez possibly, as we mentioned. I'm just going through the WBC rankings here because obviously I'll just disregard the unifications at present because. So you're coming down there. You come down to the Italian. Is it Magnazzi? You've got Magzayo, the Filipino. He's had his chance as well. Valdez, as we mentioned. Wood, we don't know what's happening there. Don't think I've heard anything about. Is it Yadar Herrera? Don't think I've seen much of him at all. To be fair, so
no, I don't know who he is now. To be honest. Who knows? We'll leave that to the money men, the people who know better than us anyway, to negotiate Foster in the next one. Before we go on to the undercard, Beat Bot Boop, Matty, has thrown in a question here, just keeping it nice and topical. He's thrown in 199 super chat as well. Shout out to him. He says, Jack Dempsey versus Rocky Marciano. Who would have won? So imagine this on DAZN pay-per-view, Matty. Who would have won?
Well, I'm glad that you put this up 2 minutes ago, so I had a chance to actually think of some sort of a reasonable response rather than being put on the spot and being like, I don't know. I think when you're dealing with Jack Dempsey, and Andy is more of a historian than I am, but I think like when you're looking at like the modern fight style, I think there's 3 fighters that you have to look to who basically built what the modern fighting style is, and that'd be Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey, and Joe Louis. There's very few people in boxing who I think you could say was a harder man than Rocky Marciano. I mean, he won fights with his nose falling off of his freaking face. But I think Jack Dempsey was one of those few guys who was a harder man than Rocky Marciano. Prime versus prime, I'm going with Dempsey.
Interesting stuff, Andy. What are you thinking on this one? Obviously, it depends on how many rounds they would be fighting.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
The styles, as you said, Dempsey was a bit of a front runner, wasn't he? With his kind of the leaping out, the springing coil kind of attack, and Marciano, absolute hard nut, man. The Italians against the Irish Americans would be an absolute war.
Yeah, I would go with Marciano. I think he's bigger, a
bit tighter.
Stronger. I certainly think he's got the more ruggedness about him. You know, if you look back to how those guys fought back in those days, it was more kind of slugging and kind of like wrestling and shovel shots underneath that type of thing. And I think that would be bread and butter to Marciano. I wouldn't see probably everybody, any real boxing fan has probably watched Dempsey ice Louis Firpo. I don't think if you put Marciano in that same position, I don't think it would happen actually, because you say Marciano hard as anything. Remember the time he got his nose split in two?
Yeah.
It was Izard Charles, I think it was.
It was Charles or Walcott. It was one of them, wasn't it?
One of them. I think also the work rate would be something else. Dempsey wasn't an active champion. Marciano was. He was phenomenal work rate, amazing power, god-like chin. In terms of boxing IQ, and that maybe not the greatest, but he made his style worked for him, and I think factoring all that in, I think Dempsey would get them, as you say as well. Depending on how many rounds, we'll go for bloodbath material, so we'll go for like 45 rounds. We'll say Dempsey ends them in like round 21 or something like that.
Yeah.
Round 21, I love it. And I gotta go with Dempsey too, because he's a fellow Colorado boy. The town he's from was from Manassas, Colorado. It doesn't even exist anymore. It was like a mining and logging community, but he was from Colorado.
Yeah, Arlene Burley says Marciano just. I think Marciano coming up underneath the shots would be the difference. Now, obviously, the cuts could be an issue if Dempsey was able to cut Marciano, but out the two of them, I think I would go with Marciano.
Yeah, but you got to say, are we going with the refs of that day or this day when, like, God knows how many fights they were in would have been, like, stopped at some point in time? Like, if you're going with the 1920s refs, that's an interesting fight, in my opinion. Those guys let everything happen.
Mate, I'll tell you the referee I would use. Is it Murder Shadow or whatever you call him, who refereed Guido Villanillo against Moses Johnson over the weekend? I would go with him, man. He's my new favourite ref.
That was a fantastic job. He let the fight go to its full conclusion, left no doubt in the minds of the onlookers. Despite missing that first knockdown, even giving the fighter the benefit of the doubt on, was that a knockdown or a push? Err on the side of the fighter. So, definitely a good ref. Steve Smoger working through this man in all ways.
Yeah, I've seen him before, man. He's a class clown carver referee. He hasn't got a clue what he's doing. Exactly the kind of ref we need in charge of people's health and safety matters. Murder Shadow or something, I think you call him. Anyway, I'll look up his name while we're going through the undercard, Matty. Brian Chevalier, who Andy mentioned earlier, getting stopped in the fourth round by Andres Cortez.
They said it's pronounced Chevalier, and I'm with you. I think it's Chevalier. Like, what the fuck, Chevalier? I don't. I think it's Chevalier. I disagree with them. I'm with you.
We'll call him Brian, shall we?
There we go. We'll just call him Brian. Puerto Rican Brian.
Puerto Rican Brian getting knocked out in the fourth round by Cortez. Cortez, nothing really special, just absolutely ground him down, and Bry wasn't able to keep him off him, unfortunately. Bruce Carrington icing Bernard Torres.
I was with Bradley on that one. Lanky guy for that weight. It seemed like he just had he couldn't sit down on his shots. Normally a pretty good puncher in Chevalier, in Puerto Rican Brian. And Cortez, but Cortez with two back-to-back stoppage victories over good competition.
Yeah, he's improving, isn't he?
Martinez and now for Puerto Rican Brian. So I don't know. Was that at 140? It was
130.
Oh, and 130. Well, now we know who O'Shaquie Foster's next opponent is.
Well, I thought that, that's what I actually thought, Matty, Andres Cortez. But then when I was looking at it, I noticed he'd won the WBO Intercontinental Super Featherweight title. So what they might do is, if Navarrete vacates the title, they might look for Cortez to fight for the vacant and then possibly unify against Foster. Maybe that's the long play.
That makes very reasonable sense right there. I think you just called them out on their inner workings, Steve. Not so smart and sneaky are they? We see through you bastards.
No, absolutely, we'll see through them. Bernard Torres might be seeing a double this morning after he got battered by Bruce Shu Shu Carrington. They gave him the build-up. He even did the Mike Tyson. He didn't quite get to I'm going to eat his children at the end, unfortunately. I was a bit disappointed about that. But Bernard Torres came out, gave a good account of himself, as we thought he would. I thought it might go a couple of rounds later, but the similar result. But it was an absolute highlight reel knockout, really, Matty, the way he caught him square on with that right hand. He's maturing into a nice puncher, Carrington.
He is, and he's a confident fighter, and another guy who's just has all the upside in the world. That right hand he caught him with was perfect too. His opponent just like standing straight up at the time in the worst position possible, and just ate that right hand, and down he went, out he was. A hell of a stoppage victory for Carrington, who seems to be the best of that Olympic class.
Even Tiger Johnson as well, who was also on the card, getting a first-round knockout win. His opponent was overmatched, though, wasn't he?
I didn't see that fight, but I've seen enough of Tiger Johnson and Bruce Carrington to think that one's got more upside than the other. I think that at the end of the day, if he sticks it out in the sport, I think Tiger Johnson's going to find himself in like that Terrell Gaucher kind of land of fighter.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Shout out to the man I was calling Murder Shadow. He's actually called Shadow Murder. He's got murder on his mind, though, Matty. There he is, the gentleman himself. 14 years in the game. taking heart, taking souls. He's my kind of referee.
Absolutely. We need to have him in as many world title bouts as possible.
Exactly. Did you catch anything else from the undercard? Isa Flaherty, I thought he was going to quite interesting fight against Julian Baptiste, who gave his absolute all. Didn't even win a round, the poor bugger. I saw the rest of it. Can't remember anything apart from Vianello, who knocked out an overmatched opponent, as we mentioned.
I'm trying to think what else was on that one.
That's Cedeno looked decent. The Dominican Republic guy, Yuri Cedeno, he knocked out Antonio Todd, the journeyman, in the 6th round. That Cedeno looked like a useful southpaw.
I didn't catch that one, unfortunately. So, yeah, I think that we've covered everything that I've seen on that card.
Brilliant stuff. Andy, did you manage to catch anything from the ESPN undercard or just Foster Nova?
No, I did catch some of it, mate. Firstly, as well, I don't know what you guys caught in terms of the broadcast. The one that I got was 3 hours, and there were only 3 fights on it. That was the Carrington, Chevalier, and Foster.
Yeah.
Just a wee shout out to Joe Tessitore, by the way. His commentary after that Carrington Torres fight was an absolute joke. I mean, the way the guy went on it, you think Torres was some sort of elite world class fighter that Carrington absolutely iced there. Actually, just dial it in a wee bit, man. We seen what we saw. I mean, Carrington, I felt looked like, especially after the rehydration, looked like he was like definitely a weight class bigger than Torres. I've seen Torres before, and he is not. I think Bradley mentioned he was meant to be some sort of puncher. He isn't. He never was a puncher.
No.
So I don't know where to get that one from. And as I say, I just thought the levels of Carrington was above Torres, to be fair. You mentioned it was a bad knockout, a real bad knockout. Trying to remember, was the Cortez one? Was that the one that was that the right hand over the top that caught the guy on the eye, and he took a kind of delayed
yes,
knee?
Yes, and he was about to get stopped in the 3rd, wasn't he? And they just about put him out in the 4th, and then the referee had enough. I think
pulled him out. Aye, that's right. Aye, that was some shot. That, to be fair, I wonder if it was maybe a broken eye socket or something, because that was a delayed reaction. But the guy backed off immediately, and he took the knee. So could be a bad one. That, and as I mentioned, that Chevalier, or whatever you pronounce it, is, I think he's highly ranked with the WBO. So Cortez was lowered on that list, so he'll jump up a wee bit as well, I would imagine.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much, Andy, for going through the top rank undercard. Just to remind everybody, listening at home, you are listening to episode 560 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Steve's here, that's me. Andy's here, and Matty as well. We have a few talking points to get through in the middle of the show before we preview next week's action, the Bellew of the Weeks, and whatnot. First of all, Matty, let's go over to Friday night. Not much Saturday night action, but there was a bit of Friday night going on. Eddie Hearn was over in Mexico for DAZN. Mauricio Alara, we'll talk about him shortly, getting really badly hurt to the body in round 6 and escaping with a draw against Daniel Lugo. And Adrian Curiel, who pulled off one of the upsets of the year last year in November in Monaco by icing Sivanathi Nontshinga, got his comeuppance in it was a really exciting fight at 108. Nontshinga from South Africa is the IBF World Light Flyweight title holder again. Just outlasted him in round 9. He really got to Curiel, started putting the pressure on him. And then in round 10, he had an absolute lease of life, a real burst of energy. Started throwing a lot of shots. Mark Callow, the referee, jumped in and stopped it in round 10. Did you catch it first of all, Matty? And if so, what did you make of it? Fun little fight, I thought.
Well, I thought it was a heck of a good fight, and I was a little bit surprised that it went the way that it did, because I was kind of thinking that Nontshinga, from the way he took the shot in their first fight, his size, I kind of thought he might have been a little bit weight drained, but he managed to get through, and I thought that Curiel was pretty clearly winning the fight up until that 9th round, and even that 9th round, it wasn't until the last 10 seconds when Nontshinga just turned it around with a flurry and absolutely damaged Curiel. And in the 10th round, they just it was still a lot of a battle, and Curiel seemed like he was still hurt, but he was still pushing forward. And once again, he just got caught and found himself hurt. Referee gave him every chance, called a knockdown when he was still standing against the ropes.
Took some flush shots, didn't he, man?
Yeah. Yeah, and when the referee finally stopped to end it and was put his arms around Curiel, I noticed Curiel put his arms around the ref too. I think he was very, very happy that was over at that point in time. So I heard that Nontshinga has to take care of his mandatory next, and it was somebody who had already fought. Name is escaping me. Could we see this a third time? You never know. But, their first fight was fun until it was over, which is a much shorter one. And now this one was a heck of a fight, too, where they treated, jabs like it was a 4-letter word. It was just all inside fighting, head to head, and great inside stuff, lots of body shots. Definitely one of the more fun fights of the year this far. I really can't knock them for putting together this rematch for this main event. It certainly delivered.
And on the undercard, Matty, you mentioned body shots there. I alluded to Lara earlier on. He's kind of gone from zero to hero. Those two Warrington fights, we saw what he was all about. And then the first Lee Wood fight, he looked like he was going to be a bona fide beast. And then the second one, he came in absolutely weight drained. He's managed to strip himself back down to a particular weight again. This time he's up at 130 now. But those body shots are absolutely killing him. Anyone who's got a bit about him is just going to target that rib cage like crazy, aren't they? Like Lugo did.
I would imagine, but is Lara shot at 25?
He might be,
he's fought a hell of a level of competition.
It's Mexican 25, it's like dog years, isn't it?
Yeah, no shit. But he's fought a great level of competition. Sometimes as he living the life, there just seems to be something missing from this Lara compared to the Lara of, only a year ago. Isn't that when he stopped Lee Wood?
Well,
it's like February of last year, I think.
Let me see. It was, May 2023, and then February. Sorry, was when he stopped him. That was right.
Yeah.
It was a very quick turnaround. You're quite right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like in the course of a year, what the hell's happened to this
to
guy?
The day? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and he just barely snuck away with that draw, I thought, as well, Steve. I mean, that was could have gone. I would like to say it could have gone either way, but I think a draw was fair, or maybe leaning to Lugo. But I don't know. It might be time to hang him up if, for whatever reason, Mauricio Lara can't seem to find some of that old fire and some of that passion and desire he used to have, because it's just something's missing in there right now, and it's not the same fighter to me.
Yep, something's missing. The passion and desire could be all gone out of Mauricio Lara. And did you manage to catch Lara against Lugo, and indeed the main event Curiel Nontshinga rematch, which was a good fight?
Yeah, it was a good fight, mate. I'll mention that one first. Yeah, it was forehead to forehead stuff, wasn't it? Good body action, and then obviously, I think with the point deduction for the South African was actually one of the key points, because he came right back after that and just took it right to him. I think it was the 8th round, kind of really badly hurt him up a wee bit, actually, kind of backed him up, and then obviously piled in, forced a stoppage. But I wasn't too much a fan or keen of the referee actually stepping in there and giving that standing count. I think that should have either been stopped, or he should have allowed them to basically kind of take the baton up against the ropes. So other than that, it was a really good scrap, actually, to be fair. Really good fight. And yeah, you're right about Lara. I don't know if it's obviously he's too tight to make 126. I think the step to 130 seems to be maybe a bit too much, possibly with the previous camps and maybe too many wars. I think it's maybe kind of caught up with him now, to be fair. I mean, he was definitely looked flat to me anyway, at least. His footwork was pretty awful. Didn't look steady in his legs whatsoever. I thought Lugo did a lot of, especially early doors anyway, did a lot of significant work as well. So no surprise with the draw card, to be fair, but I really think Lara's now really definitely on the slide, and he's there to be taken by someone, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him possibly take an L within the next 12 months, to be fair.
Yeah, Eddie's lining him up for an L, I think, as well. He might be looking to get rid of old Lara. He was an exciting fighter in his prime, but it looks like it could have come and go.
Could you see Eddie putting him in with Rocky Hernandez?
That's a good one. Yeah, I never even thought about that, to be honest. That'd be all action in Mexico. Yeah, that's a great shout, Matty. I hadn't considered that one.
Yeah, give each guy another chance, kind of winner moves on, loser goes home kind of situation in that one. But I think that at the very least would be entertaining while it lasted.
Certainly would. Winner moves on, loser goes home, says Matty. Indeed, that could be the case for Joseph JoJo Diaz as we fly through the cards over the weekend. This was on Thursday night, a night before Oscar De La Hoya Promotions over on DAZN. I only saw 2 fights on this card. Not sure what the boys have seen. We'll go to Matty first. I saw Out Tudor returning against Luis Caraballo. Ramos. This was a 8-round decision win. Tudor lost his last fight, which was a bit of an upset. He went in against a little dwarfy guy this time, so he was able to use his jab and his size dimensions as best as he could. And then in the main event, Jesus Antonio Perez Campos, known as Ricky Perez, who's grilled himself down apparently from 200 pounds. He was a bit of a fatty at one point, and he's now come down to the sort of 140 region to fight up against Joseph Diaz. JoJo Diaz, former world champion, who is eating his way up to 140. What I love about Diaz, Matty, is that he's actually a talented guy. He's a good southpaw. He picks his shots really well, but he's that indisciplined. He always comes in overweight and out of shape, so that he just has to stand there because he's not fit enough to last the 10 rounds, which makes for great entertainment for us. Not for his brain cells at the end of his career, but he takes shots, he gives them, he throws real nice shots in between. If he could boil himself down in weight, he'd be a threat, I think, around lightweight or whatever, but he seems to be stuck in this limbo at the moment where he can't get himself down. But he dropped a few F-bombs afterwards. He said Jesus is real. He really ticked all the boxes for me. I actually like Diaz. I look forward to watching him fight, even when he's losing. This is loss number 5.
Yeah, unfortunately, Steve, I did not catch that fight. I dozed off at some point during the second Tudor fight. I saw his younger brother in a draw against Josias Gonzalez in what was an interesting fight for a guy in his pro debut. I saw Garcia and Lozada. That was just a smoke out session there. Easy win for Garcia. Chavez against Olguin. That was a pretty damn fun fight, even though one-sided on the cards, which is weird that Chavez didn't have any points off of one card, considering he got dropped in a round. But yeah, it seemed like a decent card. But as far as JoJo goes, he should really be at 130, Steve. I mean, that's the problem. We've seen him at 135. Again, a bunch of killers there. His best work was at 130 pounds. He started out at featherweight. It seems he was really, I woke up during the post-fight interviews, and he was really pissed. He was blaming Golden Boy, saying if this is the way he's going to be treated and these are the decisions he's going to be getting, he would just prefer to sit out the rest of his contract. Like, he was very vocal. So he did feel quite done wrong by that decision. So I'll be kind of curious to see where he goes from here. I mean, he was already fighting on a Thursday night card against a rather nondescript opponent. So I don't know. He just might not see him in the ring for a while unless Golden Boy and him can come to some terms where amicably split here soon.
Did you happen, Matty, just before we go to the chat, and Rob, to catch the Pro Box card on it was Friday night, wasn't it? It was Valentine's.
I watched it this morning, Steve.
Oh, very good. I thought Apucci against Lucas Silva. Da Silva was the standout of the fight. I thought that was a good little scrap.
Yeah, Apache is great bang for his buck, man. It's a shame that he was out for as long as he was. He was on a hiatus of 22 months, and apparently he had a shoulder injury. And because of that shoulder injury, obviously he's out, but he didn't have any insurance. So he didn't even have the money to get himself fixed up so he could make a return to the ring. So here he was coming in against an undefeated opponent, and just a nice little war between the two of them until he just inevitably started beating the crumb out of him. And the referee stepped in, and his opponent seemed fine with that. He hugged him at the end, like basically saying, "Hey, you kicked my ass. Well done, sir." He took it like a champ. So you got to give him some credit there. So Apache might be moving on, considering the back and forth after the fight. He might be moving into a rematch with Brandon Glanton.
Yeah,
which I think would be tremendously.
First one was a great fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was split decision for Glanton, if I recall, with Apache hitting the canvas. It was definitely a good fight there. Let's see what else we had on there.
You say hitting the canvas. If I remember rightly, didn't he take like a sort of, not a sucker punch, but he wasn't expecting it and took an absolute bomb of a right hand or a left hand or whatever it was. And I thought, flip me, that guy has some chin, like.
Yeah, it something like that. And Glanton didn't go to the neutral corner, and that probably cost him a knockout.
I knew there was something.
He talked about that at the end. Yeah. Let's see.
What else did you catch?
Before we get to the main event, Jashawn James getting a UD over Von Alexander, and what was I think maybe a little bit of a closer fight than the cards would say on there. Alexander definitely landed some good shots on James. Alexander, not the shiniest record, but he is
Devon's brother, isn't it?
He is Devon's brother, and he's fought a good number of top opponents who have moved on to win titles, challenge for titles. So James does look like an interesting fighter coming off of 2 draws prior to this fight, but he's a big guy for middleweight, and you can see some skills. If he get a bit snappier with the jab, that would probably do him a great bit of service. See what else did I see on there? Actually, we'll go to the main event before the last one because I definitely want to highlight another fight on the card. Israel Rodriguez-Picasso had to retire in the 6th round after getting a broken jaw against Ramon Cardenas in what was a fight that was shaping up to be pretty interesting, with Picasso trying to fight on the back foot, Cardenas coming forward. The legendary Nacho Berostain was in Picasso's corner.
That's right.
And Cardenas did very well with Yoel Diaz in his corner, started finally finding the body, working his way into it, and he landed a great right hand that broke the jaw of Picasso. And the doctor got in there and said, yeah, it's like this is stopping.
You can't say it wasn't a bad broken jaw, like, man, my God, it was nearly hanging off and blood everywhere.
It was nasty. It was nasty. So a good win for Cardenas. Now he's 22-1 on that comeback trail. See what he might be able to do at looks like he's campaigning at super bantamweight. Obviously the man Inoue at that division, but a lot of good fights to be made there. Interesting to see where he'll go on. And but I'll tell you, the fight to highlight on this one, for those that didn't catch it, if you're just looking for, I got 30 minutes to kill, I want to watch a great fight. Emiliano Moreno against Axel Melendez Salgado, 2 undefeated fighters going at it over 8 rounds in what was a great back and forth battle where each guy had their say at many points, with Moreno doing more work on the back foot, landing combinations, as Salgado tried to make his way on the inside. Both guys doing exceptional work to the body. I don't know if this is you'd call this a fight of the year, but this is a really entertaining enough battle that I think it's going to be one of the notable fights of the year. I think both of these guys have great upside, despite Salgado having to take the L in this one. But for those that didn't catch it, Pro Box from Friday night, Emiliano Moreno against Axel Melendez Salgado. It is some must-see TV for boxing fans.
Must see TV, just like we're must hear audio every Sunday evening. You would imagine. Rapping Rob Kelly's here. We'll go to him very shortly. Before we do so, let's have a look through the chat, see who's hanging around. AP's there. Tosh Brendan, Home Junior Malone is here as well. So is Yimi Yappy. Harvey Price Boxing has returned. We have who else is here? Not too many floating about, just a few thousand. Ant B has nothing better to do with his time on a Sunday evening. Michael Thompson's with us.
Where's fucking Jim McDonald and all these losers? Fucking guys that listen to us all the time.
You tell Aunt B to get her ass back in the kitchen and make me some bean pies, or I'm gonna kick her ass.
No Chuck Woo, no Jim McDonald. No. Fucking R.I.P. the chat.
R.I.P. the chat. Callum B's there.
Chuck
Josh
Woo's
Ward.
asleep. Come on.
The pod's washed these days, man.
I watched a bit, man. Beat
My
watched
voice.
only 199.
My voice.
We're not washed. The listeners are washed. I stand by that.
Oh, Jim is there. Jim is there.
The listeners have washed their hands of us. There's the juice. There's Jim McDonald. There's Captain Casual. That's Damo. I'm here. Me. Says, never mind about them, Rob Kelly. They've all tuned in to listen to what you had to say, what you got to watch, rather, from over the weekend. Shaki Foster against Abraham Nova. Did you enjoy that one?
Champagne Supernova. He nearly came up with the goods. I thought, like, Oshaki Foster's on a good run, but he's not like, he's a very good fighter, but he's not like, he has to work for it, doesn't he? Like, he has to, like, he's not the finished article. He's not like the guy with the best natural ability. He's not the most athletic guy. He has to grind it out. Like, and I thought it was just one of those performances. Thought he got the job done, but maybe the expectations are a little bit too high on him now, because kind of he's fighter of the year in some people's book, and he's on such a good run, and his story, like, he was brought in as the opponent to lose, basically, and then upset the apple cart, and now he's one of them. Like, he's going to fucking grind. I don't think I'd be like, oh fuck, Oshaki Foster's fighting I better fucking catch this one. You know what I mean? If I wasn't on the pod, I wouldn't have bothered watching that. Like, after a couple of rounds, it was tough. But decent, but he's not setting the fucking world alight, like, for me. And I think he's one of those guys that once he loses the title, we never fucking hear about him again. Do you know that way? Because he's not like a draw or whatever. So, like, long may he reign. I like the guy. Like, I like his story and everything, but I don't get excited watching his fights.
You think he's like the straight-eyed Tevin Farmer?
That's a good comparison, actually.
Kinda, like, yeah. Like, kind of. Well, Tevin kind of fucking overachieved, didn't he? Because he came at a good time for the zone that time when they were paying a lot of money for fucking just to have people on the books. So,
that was the dumbest investment ever. Who pays Tevin Farmer millions of dollars?
You don't remember the classic between Tevin Farmer and John Carroll? Do you know what I mean? He was a good fighter. Who the fuck didn't they used to say Tank was ducking him back in the day? Tank is ducking Tevin Farmer.
Going to be a pay-per-view, wasn't it?
Well, I tell you,
he beat up James Tennyson.
If he'd have, yeah.
Wait a minute. Sorry, Rob. Did you just say to me there that somebody claimed that?
There was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk at the time. Yeah, that Tank didn't want to smoke with. Yeah. And then, but I just think
Davis would have knocked his eyes so straight.
That's what I was thinking. He would have got free fucking corrective eye surgery if he had gone for fucking.
After he hit him with that fucking first left hand, it would have been like Robin Hood Men in Tights when Blinken ran into the tree. I could see.
I'll tell you what would have happened to him. He'd got his eyes fucking narrowed together. Actually, maybe looked in the boat with a fucking Capri straw.
Got shot in the hands, didn't he, Rob?
There's something in the hands. It was a defense wound. I think he wasn't he? It was something to do with a woman or something. But it was a defense wound. Apparently, fucking saving his face when he got shot in the hand. So, shot in the hand, and he's cross-eyed, and he can't really punch, and he fucking went on to be world champion. So, you know what I mean? Against all odds there for Tevin Farmer. I always wondered about that with cross-eyed people. Maybe if there's any in the chat, does it affect like where you can see, or is it just the position of your eye? Like, I'm guessing it's anyway. Let's down a rabbit hole. Let's not go down there.
Might end up down there.
I think we're already down there. I think we're like Boxing Asylum is like Roy Jones now at this point. We just won't accept it's over and we keep getting knocked out every fucking week. Once we were the greatest of all time and I was just fucking shit out of us like Dennis Lebedev or something. Do you know what I mean?
We'll stumble on for the next 5 years, taking L after L after L.
Back with dodgy knees, fighting fucking on exhibitions. Fuck's sake.
Fighting next big pod. The fight that should have happened 10 years ago.
On a Misfit show. we could probably fight them at Wembley Stadium.
Fighting on name value only.
93,000. Tell them we're only doing it if the fucking business is right, my friend. Okay, we're not fucking just fighting anyone. We're not scared of any pod, but we're only doing it in
Camden John Fury. It needs to make business sense first.
Exactly. Business sense for us to get involved.
You see anything else, Rob?
Yeah, I saw my man Bruce Carrington.
Oh.
On Friday Night Fights get a knockout win.
Finish, wasn't it? Though.
Yeah, it was a good finish, and I've got a couple of vantage points because there was a lot of people I know from Brownsville in watching Bruce. And some of the reactions for fucking ringside were amazing, man, at the knockout. You know, Brooklyn people anyway, they were like, oh shit, and it was like, he's dead. I was like, whoa, fucking hell, maybe he is dead. Relax, like. But he seems like he did the job, didn't he? Like turns up on a ESPN. Was it an ESPN card? Yep. Friday Night Fights, fucking gets the big knockout, gets Tessitore all excited. People want to see him because he's got a following. He's from Brooklyn. Shannon Briggs is around all the time, shouting around a bit. And he got the knockout finish. So that's what you want. Like you kind of don't want anyone to play with their food, as we like to say here. And I think he held up his end of the bargain, put himself in line for another big fight. Like you'd want to watch that, wouldn't you? Like comes forward, good shot selection. When he got him hurt, he took him out. Spectacular fashion, so that's what you want. Like.
That's exactly what you want on a Friday night.
I think I saw something else as well, but I can't remember what it was. So
on that same card, was it?
I'm not sure. Look, it'll come to me eventually.
Yep.
I've got a kid theory about that.
Oh.
Well, let's not roll it out.
Oh, yeah, it's on the call.
Free Richard E. Hall. Don't let him fucking get you.
Yep, get him out there. Andy, did you manage to see the Rakhimov Nunez fight? Eddie apparently didn't he a lampshade fall on his head or something?
No, I'm listening to stoppage, mate. It was a bit of a shock actually, to be fair. But he just got fucking worked upon the ropes, and the referee stepped in. So I can't add any much more to that, mate. To be fair, that was one of those IBA cards, eh?
That's right, IBA. I watched it. I thought he just got knackered. The two of them were fighting out on even terms. Then all of a sudden, I looked at him around round 10. I knew the score, so obviously I kind of looking for it. But they took him over to the corner to get his glove tape cut. And he just looked to me like he was blown really heavily. And I thought, this guy's absolutely bollocks, man. And then Nunez, he looked fresh as a daisy. Don't know what he was on, but he just battered him.
Could have been on the hot sauce again, mate. You know what I'm saying? Like the time out in South Africa when he left all that shit in the hotel room.
Possibly.
You know, must
But
have
Rakhimov definitely wasn't these days. Tell you what, he just looked bollock. He just run out of gas completely, Andy.
That'll be it for him then, really, because he'll probably drop out the top 10 rankings. I think it's WBC he's probably ranked with.
Yeah, he's ranked pretty high. In fact, I think, wasn't this an eliminator for the right to fight as Cordina's mandatory? I know Rakhimov's fought him before, so Nunez will now go on to fight Cordina. So that's a win-win for Eddie because he has both fighters, doesn't he?
Well, see, boss, actually, I've noticed this fight hasn't even been sanctioned or even notified by BoxRec yet, to be fair.
Yeah, I couldn't find it on there at all, the whole card.
The only reason I remember it happened is because I actually saved the show. I actually watched maybe sometime later next week because they tend to put on some decent fighters on those IBA shows, but I haven't caught up with it, to be fair. Same goes for the Pro Box show for last week and that as well. I haven't kind of caught up with that either.
No problem at all. We shall move on before we look ahead.
I wonder if Tajikistan is like an awful autocracy and they're just refusing to recognize anything that happened there or something.
Possibly. Tajikistan, is that where it took place, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, that was his. Yeah, and he's a Tajik fighter, I guess that'd be the right term. And that was his homecoming fight, first professional fight at home, and he got knocked out.
Let's see. What is Tajikistan famous for? The ancient land of Tajikistan is famous for its architectural monuments, natural beauty, and unique sights. There are many picturesque, crystal-clear mountain lakes, towering snow-capped peaks, 1,000-year-old fortresses, Matty, mausoleums, and mosques.
Bivol was born there, was he not?
Who's that?
Bivol, was he not born in Tajikistan?
Yes, that was Kyrgyzstan, I think he's from.
Oh, is it Kyrgyzstan?
This is Tajikistan. Get your stands right, Andy.
Sorry, mate.
It sounds like a lovely place.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna have, there's pictures here as well. Can't share them with you, unfortunately, but they look lovely to me. Shout out to Tajikistan. Wonder if you've got any listeners in Tajikistan. Give us a shout if you have.
Greetings. My name is Boban.
I think Turkmenistan is the one that's like an awful autocracy, like where one dude controls everything.
It's all like golden buildings.
Get him fucking
and he changed like the leader changed all these words to the same fucking word. It's it's pretty fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, no rubbish on the streets though, Rob.
No wonder that fucking pot is dying. Jesus.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh dear. Let's breathe some life back into it with a bit of news and notes. We'll go to you first. Matty, I don't know if you heard anything about this during the week. I know I'm kind of hitting the boys with random ones here, but Pro Box acquires boxing scene. I have a few.
Oh, aye.
Yeah,
I see Jake Donovan and Cliff Rold are no longer working there anymore. I did notice that Eric Raskin and Kieran Mulvaney have been getting articles published there. So I wonder if they've maybe been... replaced by those guys.
Yes, Raskin's going over to it apparently. Apparently the Boxing Voice are getting involved somewhere, so that'll be me out of listening to it anyway. Tim Bradley's there as well. Malinage, Algeri, Sean Porter.
Wait a minute, the Boxing Voice are getting involved.
So it's saying on one of the Reddit threads.
Wait a minute. That host,
who are the Boxing Voice again?
That Federal Grass ex-drug dealer is now going mainstream. What the fuck?
Pro Box, yeah. That's what it said in one of the Reddit forums. Anyway, it's been acquired by Pro Box. Has been acquired by has acquired boxing scene. What's the crack here, Rob? Is this going to like journalistic integrity? Is it now?
That's why the show is dying, Rob.
Boxing.
It just goes to show you, like, honestly, right? It just goes to show you how far the fucking sport is falling to bits. Where this is actually a fucking news point. Do you know what I mean? And not just this. Like, it's like Umar has gone to fucking someplace and Parsons is like, who gives a fuck? You know, let's fucking make more fights. Not aiming at you, Steve. You know, you get me. Like, but it's like, to be honest with you, like, I really like Malinagi's commentary. I like fucking Teddy Atlas sometimes. I think Porter's fun sometimes. I think Bradley just says shit a lot of the time just for fucking sound bites, but on the balance of it, like, they're pretty good, you know, that way. So we just need to have fights for them to call, you know, that way.
Did you catch Paulie's comments about a month ago when remember that shit with Tony Weeks with that bullshit stoppage?
Oh yeah.
A few days later, Paulie's even asked the question. He may be a gambling addict, you know, guys. He may be a gambling addict. He's fucking repeating it and repeating it. I'm like, fuck it, hell, dude, shut up.
Yeah, Paulie's a fucking headbanger, like, but you know, he's not. He has his own. But I don't understand because Paulie has his own. Doesn't he have his own like YouTube channel as well?
He interviews people in Spanish as well. He's fluent in Spanish, seemingly.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Italian is a good base for the Spanish anyway, because they're all based on Latin, aren't they?
There we are. That's Pro Box anyway. That's the best I could come up with. Got a bit more for you though, Rob. Yeah. What about this one? Curiel Matias.
That's why
we're gonna have to get off the train now. He signed with Matchroom, so we're going to have to boo him and hiss him. But no, seriously, Eddie signed him. He's over the moon, apparently, signing a promotional pact, which is what they call it these days. Is this going to help or hinder Matias' progression, Rob?
Well, do you know what? I think he's probably in a better position now than he had been before his excellency got involved, because Eddie and Frank are cross-promoting now. There doesn't seem to be any obstacles. There seems to be a willingness. It's all being driven by the market, obviously, and the fact that everyone in the world has a fire stick, and there's no money for pay-per-views and no fights fees. But the market seems to be pushing the direction of cross-promotion these days, doesn't it? So when you would have been kind of saying, like, before, if Eddie had fucking Matias, he'd have been trying to keep him away from everybody that was on Top Rank or fucking PBC. Now he quickly learned he had to fucking go the opposite and make friends and pander to PBC and Top Ranks, if you like. So we want to see Matias versus Lopez. Like, I think that's the fight to bring the best out of Tio and bring the best out of him.
Next. That's what Eddie will get.
Oh, please. No, Linares is retired. He's retired.
No,
Michael Thompson is saying he never retired, Rob.
Oh, has he?
Just takes one step back in the game.
No, he's retired. He's training some kid in Miami, Linares, I think. But hopefully, anyway, that he doesn't. Well, fuck me. After seeing him against Catterall, like, he just looked like the ghost of the ghost that got knocked out by Cano. Like, I thought he was finished after the fucking Lomachenko fight, to be honest with you. But enough about Linares. Matias versus anyone, man, I'd watch. Do you know that way? I think he's fucking fantastic. He has the fucking punch. He has the. He's a mean machine. He warms into fights. He looks vulnerable too, so you never quite know what's going to happen with him. But that's the fight I wanted to see. I know that was floated to Teofimo Lopez. That's probably now before he signed his new promo deal. So, you know, that'd have to be a cross promotion, or you'd have to let a guy go across the street. So it was not going to happen next. I don't know. What are the potential opponents that he's bullshitting about?
Liam Paro they're talking about.
But you're like, fucking, you're not going to get that guy out of the house.
That's a good fight, actually. I think that's a damn good fight. And I think Paro's been sitting in that place in the rankings for a very long time, waiting on a shot. So he's
waiting on a shot. He's just looking out his window all the time, like, who's out there?
You wonder though, Rob, with the rumours of the PBC, which we'll be talking about shortly in relation to Canelo, and it's starting to gather pace. Not just Rick Glazer's talking about it, but there's something dodgy going on there. Why would they have Matias on for all these different fights? I know he was on ESPN before, and not sort of nail him down to some degree. I mean, it is strange that they're letting
the rollouts launch. The rollout is very, very, very strange. The fact that they're rolling it out, isn't it on Paramount or fucking Amazon? It's Amazon, isn't it?
Amazon, yeah, but they are looking for a secondary programmer apparently.
And I had heard that might be Paramount. So there's Amazon and Paramount or whatever. But the first fucking fight was a pay-per-view fight between an Australian and a fella who's been in the wilderness for fucking 3 years at a weight he's never fought at. So I don't really know. That was odd. Is it like they're just taking a shit ton of money now and throwing out any old shit because they know it's going to fail anyway? I don't know. Like, but I thought that was a hugely strange fight. Unless like Tim Ju does like some guaranteed massive Australian pay-per-view numbers that I don't know about. Like, but I thought that was a weird one to lead off with. Like,
it was. Right, what else have we got here? Matty, we'll go to you on this one. They mentioned this for Matias to Jared Anderson. They were saying on the broadcast that he's going to be fighting on April the 13th. Heavyweight hope to return against Riyad Murhi. Lost to Kevin Lorena a few fights ago, which isn't a good look. Fought down at cruiserweight before. He was a cruiserweight champion, bit small. Came up in weight to fight Tony Yoka. Beat him in France last time out. Yoka's turned out to be a bit of a shell. On paper, he was a puncher at cruiserweight, and he does come to fight this Belgium guy. Murphy, but I don't know, man. It just seems a little bit underwhelming for Jared Anderson. Is he losing momentum, do you think, Anderson, a wee bit?
He was doing pretty well at fighting reasonably often until he had his run-in with the cops.
Yeah.
Remember, he got pulled over and he was fucked up. And we'll see what goes on. I appreciate that he does this. He makes it blatantly clear that he does this for his family and for his future and for nothing more, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see how far he goes. I kind of think that you have to have, that desire to be great to really touch the top of championship boxing in any division. So we'll see. I don't know that this is where he's going to run into his ceiling, but I think his own mentality has created a ceiling for him.
Yeah, he's fallen a bit, Andy. I think he looked a little bit vulnerable in the Charles Martin fight, but I don't mind that because it was a step up and they put him in against a live opponent. He's been out the ring since August. Before, he was active at least. And then they had the Rudenko fight, which wasn't great. Now they're putting him into this one. Just doesn't feel like he's moving up to me. He's becoming active and the opponent level isn't necessarily getting any better. I know they can sell it off the back of the Yoka win for Murphy, but I don't know, Anderson. Hopefully, if he gets rid of this guy, they'll get him out fast again because he needs to fight. He said that before, hasn't he, Andy, himself? Like, he's going to get into trouble otherwise, floating about with guns and smoking weed and whatnot. They need to get him in the ring quickly.
Yeah, an interesting fight, that one, actually, because I'm sure that Riyad Mera not got a fight arranged?
Well, against Anderson, as far as I know, I don't think anything else, to be honest with you. He has a knockout over Zhao Xinjiang, Andy, who we saw icing that Romanov last week.
I'm certain that Belgian had a fight arranged, or is it the other Belgian I'm thinking about? Is that Arslan Gulamarian, possibly?
Oh, Gulamarian, maybe.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
but yeah, I take the point. The thing is, as well, the Belgians are he's an ex-career cruiserweight.
Yep, he was WBA champion amongst many.
And he's moving up. Obviously, opportunity, but kind of said that about Anderson that as well. It's been baby steps, but I think he kind of coughed up some truth in that as well by saying that he's not really in the sport for much longer anyway. Isn't he? What is he, 22, 23? Did he say he wanted to retire by the time he was 28 or whatever?
That's
it was?
Right. He's 24, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but to be fair, it's another takeover fight from me. I mean, there's every chance he takes it maybe in the middle half of the fight and maybe ends it by stoppage. He has a good decent dig about him. Riyad Mera, I would say, he's probably European level, but he's a cruiserweight, as we say. But yeah, it's not really a step up.
I think Anderson, you could forget about him, like, because let's be honest, like, it's going to be 18 months to 2 years, 2.5 years probably with rematches before all belts become available again and the boys clear off. Like, and I keep going back to that interview with him when he was with Roy Jones, and it wasn't even an interview; they were just doing a training session, and he's fucking breaking down, crying and all. Like, obviously, like, the fucking, stakes are high and there's emotion and stuff. But was that him? Was that the same heavyweight?
Yeah, that was him. Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like fighters will go through stages where they're scared or whatever, and they fucking hide it, they'll mask it, they'll keep it themselves, will never tell anybody. But like, that's like, you're fucking in it, you're in the wrong division, like, and at the wrong time. I think, that way. It's like,
if you really seen him properly tested,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I feel like.
That as well, eh?
I feel like he's one of these another American heavyweights that they've fucking, they've died. They were dying fucking to get a good American heavyweight throughout the whole time. Like, before Wilder broke through and won a version of a world title, you had like fucking, what was his name again? You know who I'm talking about. Yes, bits of these kind of characters. I feel like as soon as it gets hot for Jared Anderson, you're going to see him fucking found out. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, one of the boys in the chat was saying they think like they're looking for the belts to split, but that's going to take a while. Look at Hrgovic. He's been waiting about 3 years on that IBF mandatory, so they're going to be waiting a long time. I just think mentally, whenever it comes on top, that he's going to be found out. Torres is the same as well, that Torres guy. I mean, he's absolutely being moved with baby steps, very much like Berlanga, just knocking people out. He's exciting, Andy, but they haven't put him in against anybody. There must be a reason for that.
Well, this is the thing, mate. I really don't know what it is, because obviously, Olympic silver medalist, he has fought better opposition whatsoever in the amateurs than he has in the pros. It's like a waste of time. And it's like, they're just happy to kind of like pile it along, just pick up ranking and points, and then wait till they get their chance. I mean, the one thing about Torres is he has got the death wish in that left hand, but everything else needs to be a wee bit refined. He's prone to cuts a little bit in that as well. I mean, he's a decent enough fighter, but again, it's all about levels and that. And I think he's got a chance, but I think it's an outside chance, to be fair.
Yeah. Matty, talking about side chances, I came across this guy earlier. I haven't seen him in action yet, but he's a 6'9" Ukrainian called the Hunter, Alexander Zakazhi, 18-0, 14 knockouts. You wouldn't want to bump into him in a dark street, Matty.
No, and at that size, you have to consider he'd be pretty useless on the front lines, so he's probably just boxing right now.
I think he's pretty inactive, but we wish him well with his 62 rounds, banging people out.
Well, I can tell you this much, Matty, he better not be in the fucking front lines, because he's a sniper's dream at that height, 6'9".
Fucking A.
And he's gonna be no use hiding in the fucking trenches either, man. Fucking hell.
Well, and it's got to be just like boxing, where they're, it's like, oh, you got all that body to go to. Just go for the body. What's with the headshots? You just go.
Imagine him trying to get into an Abraham tank. By the way, fucking hell, he'd be sticking through the fucking turret.
Take the top off of it, just be fucking driving around there looking like a Lego character.
We wish him well. We wish him well. We wish these boys well. Maybe not. They should have been fighting last night, but they weren't. They've brought the whole sport into disrepute. Apparently,
bastards are killing the pod numbers. We would have had a post-fight pod last night.
Exactly.
Good time and everything for us. Fuck's sake.
Destroying us, absolutely destroying us. Andy, apparently VAR is under consideration for the Fury versus Usyk fight. They were saying. Yeah. I think this is this is a fancy caption, isn't it? It's WBC President Musho Suleiman has said that boxing must implement video replay technology, with TalkSport's Spencer Oliver going on to suggest we could see the technology ringside very soon. Looks like a bit of a bullshit story to me, because they've been using replays, haven't they? And ringside, Jay Nady does that now. Watches the replays, doesn't he, in Las Vegas, and also calling it VAR and everything, just a way of jazzing it up and saying that we should be watching replays.
Trust that fucking pot licker Mauricio Solomon that come out with some pish like this, man. I mean, we've apparently got devices that can actually scan someone's head that can see if they've got a brain bleed. Yet we kind of get them in the fucking corner for fighters to use them, but we can somehow bring in VAR. I mean, how's it going to work? Are you going to fucking stop a fight in the middle of like the first round for like a stray elbow, for example?
Lines like on the elbow over those drawn lines.
Was it below the navel, for example? That type of thing.
Crayon marks on Usyk's navel to see if it was low.
Even operate that? Can you imagine, like, say, some sort of VAR official in the referee's ear? Stop the fight. We need to go to review here, by the way. And everybody's standing by the ring for like 2 or 3 minutes to figure out if there is a fucking foul. Then they need to say, right, referee, go look at the fucking the video screen. He's going to go outside the ring, got to go and check it, get back in the ring, and then he's going to make his decision after that. What a fucking joke. That pot licker, man. Honest to God.
Is there VAR in Scottish League, Andy? Did Rangers sell to
ask James Tavernier. The fucking VAR in Scottish League.
That was a genuine question.
58 penalties. No, it's honestly my view on VAR and all of this. They should fucking bomb it out and leave it out. And fucking don't overcomplicate it. The amount of fucking how many photo incidents are required in boxing where there's like controversy over something like that the ref didn't see. He's standing in a fucking ring beside the two of them. It's not like a fucking in a football match where there's 22 players and the ref might be something. He's fucking standing right there.
Like running a length of 120-yard fucking field for fucking 90 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
If that's the case, all I have to do is
in a 20 by 20 fucking ring.
Short fucking and if that's the case, I'll just give him an earpiece and say he hit him in the balls that time, Jay. Do you know what I mean? We could see that was a clear hitting the balls. You don't have to fucking stop the fighter. What happened if you got hitting the balls and you were selling the fucking disqualification and then they came in and were like, no, up you get, pal, up you get, fight on. The other fella's gone cold. It's fucking 20 to 15 minute fucking delay and all that. Like, how would that work? It's just crazy, like crazy fucking stupid. Yeah. Anyway, there's enough fucking stupid shit going on. It's probably going to happen. So,
yeah. What do you think, Matty? Video replays? Do they do that in the old American sports?
I think it's a really tough conversation because I think that you can use it in certain situations, but you don't want to lean on it too much. As much as it sucks, I think human error is part of boxing. They've done studies with baseball with removing the umpires and just using, technology to be able to call balls and strikes and such. Call runners safe, etc., and it works to whatever degree it's clean. But at what point in time is everything being called down the middle like that? Does it remove kind of the nuance of the game?
It does, and that's what happened in the football. Is that they're after actually looking at other ways to penalize always. Like, so there's always an encroachment scene, no matter how, you know what I mean? It's like fucking, and then it redefines what the fucking normal understanding of a foul is, like, or an offside or a fucking, and then if that crept into boxing, man, it'd just be, do you imagine two fellas waiting around, like, after fucking getting warmed up, coming to the ring, waiting to do the ring walks, and then there's an interruption in the middle of the fight that's not the fan man. Like, it's like you got to stand around for 10 minutes. It's just fucking, it's insane. Never would work.
I agree with you, Rob, because even though you hear people going, "Oh, it's technically correct. They technically came to the right decision," but it's against the spirit of sport. I think some of these football ones.
That's exactly. You put it better than me.
Someone's cock is offside and all. You know.
Yeah, like you put it better than me. It's against the spirit of the sport, and like I remember people saying years ago, like if you get fucking goal line technology, that's good enough. Like VAR and video instant replays and all that, like. It'll even itself out. Like referees are generally trying to fucking do the right thing. I don't think there's any, like, forget about Scottish football because everyone thinks the fucking referees are against the other team, like whatever. But the fucking referees are generally trying to get it right. Like, and it takes away the fucking the discussions on a Monday morning. Oh, what if that had been a goal? What if this? Now it's just like 15-minute delays. The matches are going on for fucking 10 minutes. It's just shit. Like 10 minutes past the fucking 90 and all. It's horrible.
Just for reference, by the way, both penalty kicks that Rangers got today were in fact penalties.
But we're not going to get him overruled.
And they had to go to VAR to get them today, so that tells you the fucking referee shat his pants. And he needed the linesman for help for the first penalty as well. Fuck.
You let your opponent recover while they check a replay, says MB. Exactly, man. You're like, fuck, like, yeah, okay, right.
Like,
so
it'd only be useful for clash of head shit, really, wouldn't it? And why
Yes.
couldn't they just mic up the guy and just have a guy like an assistant referee or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Assistant to the referee.
Final talking point we have here is Canelo. What's he going to do next? Apparently, there's going to be an announcement. You know, we have these announcements of an announcement of an announcement now, which the announcement was supposed to take place last week, Rob. It didn't. His next move is absolutely up in the air. People are saying it's going to be Benavidez. We thought it was going to be Charlo. He's on the beach saying it's not going to be him. What's going on with Canelo, man?
Guess who they're saying it's going to be now?
Ooh.
Aaron Spence Jr.
Oh, yes. What? Yes, I heard. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So Crawford's been doing his best to try and make this fight. You know, Spence is fucking out of the fuck. That Spence rematch never going to happen. Crawford's been calling for it. He's saying he's going up from 47 to 68. Canelo's been downplaying it a little bit, saying Crawford's too little, and if I beat him, there's nothing in it for me. But it's not going to be Charlo, the other Charlo. He's not ready. Doubt it's going to be Benavidez, like, and now they're talking about Spence. So I don't know. Maybe Spence wants that fucking cash out of their retirement money now, like, you know, that way. But I don't think like anyone would buy that. You know what I mean?
No way.
It's working out the way we felt though. The Benavidez fight, if it happens, will be last on that deal.
Well, if we
might be his last fight, I'd say.
Well, to tell you what, boys, people are saying this, and at first I thought it was the usual bollocks, but other people have been saying that he could leave the PBC due to a contract breach and then go and fight Munguia on DAZN. So the announcement could be that he's fucking off Al Heyman, which I think would be, I don't believe that myself, but it's getting that way that you wouldn't even know what's going on with the PBC.
He's just done a deal as well to make sure that the rest of his fights are free on terrestrial television in Mexico. Which probably being driven by the market as well. I don't think that's like fucking extra benevolent. It's a good touch.
Yes, no, I'm going to say it's not an altruistic move, no.
yeah. But fucking still, it's pretty good. One thing I didn't know, there's a bit of beef between Juan Manuel Marquez and Canelo.
Oh.
Apparently, Marquez is a massive detractor of Canelo, like, and always has some shit to say about him. And Canelo was talking about it, saying, like, you know, we're Mexicans. I love all the Mexican fighters. I grew up watching Marquez. I don't know what his problem is with me, but I'd like to know what that's about.
That's a bit of a strange one. Didn't know about that myself. Matty, what do you think?
Call him cherry picker for not fighting Benitez or something like that.
Yeah, well, exactly. They are very hard on each other. Matty, what do you think about this Canelo? We were talking his next move. Some people, it's not going to be Benavidez. I know WBC put up another roadblock. I thought it would be Charlo. Now people are saying it might be Munguia. The PBC deal could be sort of on the brink. Matty, we don't know what's going on. What do you think?
I think, long story short, that Al Heyman has bled boxing funding dry. I think the idea of the PVC in the short term was brilliant, and a lot of people made money off of it. But I don't think all of those people's intentions were to build a global brand of boxing. I think their goal was to take as much money from it as possible. I think people like Terrence Crawford pointed it out when he was fighting Errol Spence. There's a lot of waste, and Al Heyman is a shrewd businessman. He got a shit ton of money from a shit ton of people. And to be fair, his fighters have made a lot of money. They love him to death, but it has absolutely stripped us of seeing numerous fighters staying active. And I wouldn't be shocked if someone like Canelo, ends up having to jump ship because they can't provide the dates. That Amazon deal is obviously flawed. Somebody got fucking fired over it. And until somebody steps in and says to these people, hey, we can't pay this much money, and we're not going to pay this much money, this kind of crazy shit's going to go on. But I think, and people might say talk about these folks too much, but I think the shining light that I see in boxing right now is pro box. I worry that this boxing scene thing might be a stretch too far. I have no opinion on the Boxing Voice or anything of that nature, but I think that they have proved. Well, look at these. Like, I think we saw some decent cards this weekend.
Nest of the fucking grass.
But if you look at the amount of money that those cards probably took to put on, what gave you the best bang for your buck if you're a boxing business person? That Pro Box card, 100%. I wouldn't say that they're putting together better cards for pennies on the dollar, but I think they're doing it for dimes on the dollar. And I'm continue to be impressed with their weekly matchmaking and the things that they do. I think it wasn't shrewd putting their card up against two other ones on Friday night, but there is definitely a change coming about. And this, if Keith Thurman loses this fight against Tim Tszyu, I think that's the end of Keith Thurman. And I think he's going to make one more incredible payday and he won't have another reason to fight. But I think Keith Thurman in his era of fighters are the end of what we saw for a period of boxing when it came to the level of purses, the amount of times that fighters were fighting each year. Something has to change. And I think the first thing that's going to be on the chopping block is going to have to be fighter purses. There's definitely a market for boxing, but nobody wants to pay that much.
We talked about Pro Box earlier, sorry Rob, just quickly, and they're buying up boxing scene and all, but they are effectively like a promoter. They're a putting on of shows, aren't they? It's like Oscar buying up the ring. They're putting on their own shows and their own channel.
Basically.
Wait, Rob, are you going to defend BLK Prime, Rob? The future?
Mr. Desmond Bungus. I've got like mixed feelings on it because I think Al Heyman was brilliant for the fighters and the concept that, like, when you look at the purses or the wages that they get in other sports, basketball, fucking NFL, soccer, like they all generate so much money and they get paid for being in the less dangerous sports. So I'm all for fighters making as much money as they can, but it can't be at the detriment of the matchmaking for the fans, because the wages in those other sports are driven by the market. Like, you know what I mean? Because the revenue that they generate, the franchises that these teams are, they're able to afford to pay the athletes these top wages. Like, but boxing's not really like that. Like, they're not affiliated to a team. They're individuals fighting for titles. And I think that Heyman was brilliant for getting these guys $1 million purses. And in theory, it was all great if he'd have had that kind of UFC type control that he was looking to build over on PBC. But what happened is when he was giving the fighters $1 million paychecks, they're like, I'm not fighting fucking again this year. You know what I mean? And Keith Thurman is the prime example of that. I would class Keith Thurman as having a wasted career because he had too much bread by the time it came for him to be the time came for him to kind of put the fucking marker down to be the number one guy in the welterweight division. Spence came and took his spot, and he was content fucking taking 18-month layoffs in between fights. Like, it's just, he had so much money. Like, you know what I mean? The fellas had to fight, wouldn't be doing this. Like,
the other thing as well is Heyman's burnt bridges right across the board, right? And you say take all that money. I don't know if Prime will kind of rein him in a wee bit, but he can't be expecting to go with this new deal and expect to fucking do what he did with the last few deals and expect to, like, Danny Garcia, recycle him, Keith Thurman, which he's getting recycled again, obviously, in that, but after he takes his beating off Tim Tszyu, which he probably will, he can't use him again, but he fucking will. He'll bring him in for someone else, one of his up-and-comers, maybe even keep him for Raleigh at some point when he comes up in weight, maybe, who seems to be been blessed by Davis, by the way, which we'll get to in Bellew of the week. But I just like to see him kind of mix it. He needs to work with other promoters, obviously, in that as well. But he can't be expecting to kind of do the status quo and just fucking recycle these fighters again. Spence is finished.
I find it
Garcia's
strange what they did.
he's half retired.
Well,
I found it so strange what they did with Spence. Like they kind of gave him, I felt like an easy road to picking up all the titles, only for Crawford to come and take them all, like and beat the shit out of him in the end. You know, I know it was a big fight and they marinated it and all that, but it was just. And I know Spence had trouble out of the ring and everything, but it just felt like the way they navigated that, it could have been like he could have Dana Whited that PBC. At one stage, he had every welterweight. They're all getting paid astronomical wages. Just fucking make them fight each other in a tournament kind of thing and make it exciting. But it just didn't seem that way. It was like Heyman's a former concert promoter as well, like and a musician. Yeah. So his mentality is get as much money as you can for your client, and I'll make as much money as I can. I don't think necessarily fucking looking at the greater outcome for the sport, you know, that way. But you know, Matty, I just think it's falling apart now anyway, isn't it?
No, so. I was just going to say, Matty, what Rob's touched upon there was the direction I was going to go, actually, is Al's background. I mean, it's so strange. He's come from the concert music business in the past. He definitely knows how to make money. He's not a stupid guy. He came into boxing, supposedly, to clean it up, look after fighters, get them paid properly because of the treatment of his brother, Bobby Heyman. But now it looks like he's maybe his modus operandi altogether, Matty, from the start, was to destroy the sport that destroyed his brother.
So I'm kind of a little bit torn on this because I kind of see it coming from the same place, but it's kind of how you look at it through the prism, I guess. And like you said, like I think Heyman has a real problem with boxing, and I think that he has a real problem with the way that boxing took advantage of black fighters. And I think there is a little bit of a level of vengeance about Al Heyman and what he's trying to do. Unfortunately, you ultimately just, you know, if you go scorched earth, you eventually burn your own home. And I think that as boxing is in this struggling moment, you've seen Oscar going around and working with other promoters and all these friendly things and tweets and shit like that. But do you think that's the way that he is talking to them behind closed doors, Steve? Or do you think what Oscar is saying to these other promoters behind closed doors is, if we let this keep going, none of us is going to be able to make money off of this sport. And the only way that we can put an end to PBC and what they've done to boxing is to do business together and make the fights people want to see and take business from the PBC.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is probably happening with Oscar as he's talking with these other promoters. And if they're smart, they're listening to him, because it is one of those situations where they have to gang up and create more market power.
Here's one for you then, right? Seeing as that we're talking about how the markets are fucking driving everything, it sounds like fucking, what you call it? What's his name? Gary Vaynerchuk or something? No, Gary Vaynerchuk. Fucking the market is driving all this. Fuck off, man. Who's going to be the face of the sport? Because Canelo's on one foot out the door, like, isn't he? He's old as fuck now. Fury and all them and AJ are at the same. They're in the twilights of their careers or whatever. They're not going to be around for much longer. Tank is a big draw, but he's 30-something now. Like, who's going to be next out of the current crop like that? You could see crossing over to become put ass in the seats. He's got to be close. He's got to be up there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 28. He's 29, I think, isn't he, Davis? I think
I was thinking he couldn't be 30. That's what I was thinking.
He has the body of a 40-year-old as well.
He's 29. He's gonna turn 30 this year, Rob. He's turning 30.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm right then. Okay. So he's 30.
Campbell Hatton, Rob.
You just want to do anything to make yourself not feel so much older than these people. Like, I'm not an old man if Gervonta Davis is in his 30s.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I've been on the pod, say, 6 years of that. Like, and in my time, it's been kind of the era of Fury and AJ as the big pay-per-view stars, and Floyd had his last kind of fight just before I came on, and we've had kind of fucking Canelo then for the lower weights. But Bud's had his moment, but it's come at the end. He's 35, like he has one or two more fights. So who's going to put asses in seats? There's not that many on the kind of periphery underneath that. Like, that's, you can see.
Oh, I disagree.
All right, come on, give me 5 names that can be this.
I'll give you one name right off the top of my head.
All right, let's go.
Because you got to remember, I'll harp on this. Boxing is driven in the United States by the Hispanic audience, and they fucking love David Benavidez.
Yeah, true, right. Okay, but has he got the same kind of star power as Canelo?
Does he have, no, but that was, Canelo was kind of a freak
But
thing,
Canelo's
right?
star
Canelo
power was
fought
obvious from
Mayweather when
early.
he was 21, you know.
But he was already on HBO before he had before that fight was on Showtime, I think, as a crossover, or it might have been on. No, it was on Showtime, I'm sure.
I saw him before he was 20 get rocked by Abner Cotto.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw him
vividly.
too. But after that fight, he was the fucking mainstay. He was on every Mayweather undercard. He was on. Then eventually, he was fucking HBO's man. They moved him very quickly. Remember, like between the knockout. Who was he? Knocked him fucking bandy. What was his name again? He used to get trained by Wolf.
James Kirkland.
James Kirkland, and then Austin Trout, and those kind of fights. Like, he was in big fights before he'd even fought Mayweather. Like, I know he was young when he fought him, and it obviously helped him. But it was obvious. What I'm trying to say, it was obvious early on that Canelo was a big draw. Like, who's really there putting asses in seats now? Like, driving ticket sales, going to fucking compete with the YouTubers and that. Like, there's not many. Like,
Connor.
Well, and you have to think it's all a matter of if stars can be built by good fights being made, and we can't ourselves get wrapped up in the idea of a loss ending somebody's career and their marketability. And I think that's a problem everybody makes. The reason I would say somebody like Benavidez isn't just because of what he's already shown. It's because of the fights that I see as possible for him and what they would do to move him to a greater audience. I think him against Morrell would be a banging fight. Him against Munguia, him against Canelo would be explosive and would be a handing of the torch potentially. So that's a big one. Throw Diego Pacheco in that mix. He's a bit of a dark horse at 168 who has shown himself to be quite talented. And you know what? If Benavidez is able to, and Beterbiev and Bivol stick around another year and a half or 2 years respectively, he could end up fighting the winner of that fight. You never know. That would be a huge fight. And he's a big dude. He can absolutely go up to that weight. Now, you also have to look at building stars. And I think the other place you look for that happening right now is at 135 and 140. You already mentioned Tank Davis. As much as we dismiss Devin Haney, he's getting paydays. He's getting decent numbers. And he has the dance partners around his weight to potentially do it. But then you have guys like William Zepeda who are on the come up, and they have the style again for those Mexican fans. I mean, that division is just plainly stacked. I mean, you could just go through the 135 rankings and just pick names, and you come up with great fights. But within that 168 to 175 and 131 or 135, 140, I think you have plenty of places to build stars if these guys are willing to get together and make the fights. And that's the big question, is if they're willing to get together and make the fights. I mean, look at 135 with Top Rank. You have God, I'm gonna not remember all the names. I mean, Keyshawn Davis is obviously a skilled fighter. Then you have God, I'm trying to fuck, these names are gonna miss me. Anyways, there's a couple of more fighters.
I mean, the obvious one was Ryan Garcia, but Ryan Garcia is fucking showing what he is like. You know that way. If Ryan Garcia had been able to walk the walk, he could fucking. He could have been the one to take it out of here. That was
other people's B-side, isn't he, Garcia?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you, and one of the best things that could happen for boxing as far as a wide audience would be for Garcia to upset the apple cart and just somehow land a hook on Haney. It would be one of the best things for boxing. Yimmy Yappy mentions Carmel Montan, but 2-0. I mean, I've seen him. I mean, he does look sharp, but he
just don't know, do you? Jaleel Major Hackett looks the business as well, but you just don't know at this age.
Yeah, there's. Trust me though when I say, like, there's plenty of fights to be made if they're willing to make them. I never refuse to say that boxing is dead, but I think certain entities might be on their way out, and I think that Al Heyman has just bled people dry, and I wouldn't be shocked to see PBC pack it in by the end of next year.
Can we blame Al Heyman as well?
Yeah, well, let's blame Al. And it's a shame because he did put on great cards. But why were they able to put on great cards? Well, they had plenty of fucking time to think about it. I'll tell you
the
that.
154 division, he brought it together and it all worked itself out lovely, really. But yeah, a lot of misses too.
you look at that period, like you're about how that 154-pound division came together with this, that, and the other. But so you're talking, obviously, both Charlos were there at one point in time before one of them moved up. You had Tony Harrison, who was looking sharp at the time. J-Rock was looking good there as well. Austin Trout was always fucking around and willing to give somebody a fight. And I mean, throw some more names in there. That period of 154, there was some really fun fights in there. Julian Jackson, when he was fighting there, he looked good until Andy Lee fucking decapitated him. Yeah, Julian. Oh yeah, well no,
Jared Hurd.
No, I'm thinking of the
John Jackson.
Yeah, John Jackson's. Yeah, his son. The one. Yeah, that was a great fight with him and Lee before Lee ended him with that fucking hook.
He gave Charlo a good fight as well, didn't he, Jackson? He gave Charlo a good fight to the right. Yeah.
That was one of the fights. Like I generally don't get too emotionally invested in fighters or whatever. Like, but obviously different. That was one. It was like one of the fucking World Cups in the gaff here. Like when he landed that shot, because you're just there with your head in your hands, going, "Oh fuck, this is over! Oh Jesus Christ, this is over! This is over!" And then boom, you're like, "You motherfucker!" Unbelievable.
Right, good discussion there. The future of boxing. We will wait and see if the sport survives. It always manages to do so.
I'm that old. I remember fucking his dad knocking out Earl Graham.
Yeah,
fucking that old. I remember that in real time. Jesus,
knockout. We're getting there.
Right, gonna fall on his own leg. Glad I came up with that there just now by myself.
Yeah, well done. That's good work. Episode 560 from Rakhimov Kelly there, coining new phrases.
There's another 135. I could not think of his name.
Oh, Murataya.
Guys, nobody's talking about the real future of the sport. Ben Whittaker.
Oh yeah, and Whittaker.
What a fun fight. I'll tell you what, he will inevitably get chinned, but at what level? You know,
this is it, and it's going to be good stuff. Like it's not going to be good stuff, but it's going to be pantomime villain classic stuff until it happens, isn't it? Like, I mean, so he's going to make a lot of money, I think.
Naz got away with that bullshit all the way until Marco Antonio.
Yeah, a long time, really. That's
a
I beat good fighters
top level Hall of Famer. Yeah, absolutely, he did, and that's why I'm saying. I mean, he got all the way up to fucking Barrera before it bit his ass, and he didn't lose that fight hugely wide on the cards, if I recall. Like,
he got a solid beating.
He did.
He was never in the fight, never in that fight at all.
Wasn't there really 115, 113 in that fight?
Was it?
Maybe.
I don't think it was a representation of what we saw, though, was it?
Well, yeah, there are those moments. I mean, Chavez, Whittaker, etc. I'm gonna go look at that though.
Let's see. 115, 112, times 2, and a 116, 111.
There you go. 2 rounds off for having that as a W, and he would have kept going.
Yeah. IBO title on the line. It was 116, 111, 117, 110 region, really, wasn't it? In reality.
His jaw was hanging in the air all night. Barrera couldn't miss it. Like he was so fucking sharp that night. It was unbelievable. Great, but a great fighter, Naz. Like a great fighter and a great entertainer. But again, once in a fucking generation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got the idea of what it was to be an entertainer, and he consistently performed in the ring. And Floyd didn't quite have that level of showmanship, but I don't know that in my lifetime that anybody in combat sports has played the role of the villain better than Floyd Mayweather and made more money off of it. Obviously, he was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, love a bit of Floyd. Talking a chin up in the air, the older listeners might remember Lee Haskins from back in the day, Bristol fighter. Well, we're getting old because his son is now fighting, Anton Haskins. There he is.
Don't think he's going to be able to deny him, is he?
I'm going to say he's a spit of him, isn't he? You want to see his opponent, Rob? He's fighting against India's finest, Lovepreet. 5-0.
14 wins and 2 knockouts between them. Do you think this one's going the distance, boys?
No, let's hope so.
There you go.
As long as you don't have to watch it, right, Rob?
I think that's safe enough.
Good luck to the boys there. Matty, you were making me aware off air about a Dimitri Salita card on Tuesday night. Could Tuesday night boxing be the future?
Potentially, and I obviously closed that tab because that would have been too intelligent of me to leave it open there.
Adriel
Steve, but
Holmes is on, isn't he?
there you go.
Isn't he the Groats fellow or
Yeah, and
franchise or something?
this is all I believe it's a collection of prospects from the Detroit area, as Salita's kind of set up shop there. He's been having a fair amount of shows there, so yeah, he's kicking off. He's got a deal with the Zone to do X number of these shows. I don't know if they're all just going to be prospect level shows or if there's going to be maybe some higher level fights on there, but for your midweek this week, you'll have a chance if you want to Tuesday evening stateside to catch this DAZN card with some Dimitri Salita fighters, and Wednesday morning for you folks in the UK.
Yeah, Ali Ismailov is on that card as well. He last beat Charles Foster, so he's a decent fighter, Ismailov. So yeah, hopefully Salita will get some good fights on the go there.
Yeah, William Foster's brother.
Yeah, he is indeed. Yep, Charles Foster. Yeah. Connor Butler's fighting next Saturday evening against Jay Harris. Harris has been around the block. British, Commonwealth, and European title fights on the line. Titles are on the line there. Sorry, against Butler. A bit of an Aussie show there. What else have we got coming up? Japan, Andy. We'll go over to Japan and talk to you about Junto Nakatani, the former super flyweight world champion who iced Maloney. Defended against Cortez. He's moving up to fight for the WBC bantamweight title. I want to say Alexandro Santiago, off the top of my head, beat Donaire to win the title. You got Kosi Tanaka, he who can't get out the way of a left hook. He's fighting Christian Rangel, and Takuma Inoue is going in against Jerwin and Koyas. Remember him? It's a good show actually, Andy, next Saturday in Japan.
Yeah, it looks okay, mate. To be fair, yeah, you're right about Tanaka. Could be the night that he's just one step too far. Possibly, he's just taken a lot of punishment over his career. You just don't know when it might catch up with him. What else we got there? Yeah, Nakatani. Yeah, I like him. He obviously moved up in weight, but he's a big, big strong guy. So it'll be interesting to see how he is up at bantamweight. I remember Santiago.
Do you feel like he's trying to move up the weights, kind of chasing Inoue before it's too late?
I don't know what happened there actually, because it's like he moved from, was it, come from fly to super fly, and he was there for like one fight, I think it was. Then
I think it was two. I think he had that nice knockout victory, that knockout of the year, and then he had one more. I think didn't he beat RG Cortez?
Yeah, I think so.
Also at 115.
If it's correct, he's meant to be like 5'7", 5'8", so that's getting massive for a flyweight, to be fair. So maybe it is just a period of natural growth, really, and that's him now, just kind of filling out into the bantamweight division now. So and Cajas as well on that undercard. I think he's seen better days. Obviously, I mean, he had that title for God knows how many years, and one of those reigns really just did not stack up, really, to be fair. Inoue, I would probably think really wins on points. So it'll be interesting. It'll probably be a midday thing for us, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, we might tune in depending on what's happening at the weekend, maybe. But yeah, it looks good. I'll go with Nakatani. Probably late stoppage or decision. I'll go Inoue decision, and I'll plug for Tanaka by. See, I don't think I've seen the Mexican. I don't think he seems a bit of a light puncher. I'll go with Tanaka on points.
Okie dokie. A final one to you, Rob, very quickly. Things in boxing move fast, don't they? Jerwin Ankayas was the bright young thing at one point. You might remember in 2017, I was ringside in Belfast when he stopped Jamie Conlon, and 3 fights later, he defended his title against Alessandro Santiago, who is now the A side after beating Donaire and fighting Nakatani on the main event. And Ankayas is being brought in as an opponent on his undercard. Things do move fast, indeed.
They do. And I don't, because I'm still catching up to some of these fucking results. Like, I can't remember that fucking fight. No,
do you remember Conlon and Koyas?
Of course, yeah. Conlon, in fairness to Jamie Conlon, he was really in a bad fight. Not often coming out on the fucking...
The Irish Gatti, man, he was class.
When he went up the levels, obviously, he found out a little bit and exposed, but fuck me, he'd hang in there, like... I think probably the bit of that's in him affects Mick as well, because Mick is the boxer style, but earlier in his career he probably fucking takes a lot more punishment than he needs to. Anyway, we're going down a rabbit hole there. Yeah, no, that's when did you say this one's on Tuesday or
no? It's next
Thursday?
Saturday, actually. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. No.
They usually like a Wednesday show, don't they? The Japanese, but not this time.
great bunch of lads. But yeah, no, I like what's coming out of there as well. Maybe we get a couple of stars out of there. If fucking Inoue is anything to go by, whatever the next generation is, you got to keep an eye on that, because Inoue is the fucking biz. He's actually one that, I don't know, will he capture the fucking wider public's imagination, but he certainly has all the tools to do it.
Right, what else have we got here? Let's have a look over in Florida. The big one for next weekend on DAZN. Eddie Hearn promoting in the Caribe Royale in Orlando. Matty on the undercard. Let's have a quick look. Yankel Rivera, he's a good fighter. I've seen him before. He's fighting. Andy Cruz is looking to go 3-0 for the IBF International Lightweight title, not hanging around against Brian Zamarripa. I'm sure I've seen him before. Antonio Vargas, 17-1 against Jonathan Rodriguez, 17-1. And Pablo Cesar Cano is being brought out of retirement off his deathbed against Shakram Giasov. Anything on an undercard, Matty, that takes your fancy?
Always.
Yeah, I fancy. Oh, sorry, Mike. I was just going to say, you looking at the odds for that fight? Guys off against Cano.
Cano's paying 7-1.
You fancy?
No. I know he's had a few wins, but pretty soft competition, Andy. I don't think he's like on any sort of comeback trail. He's got the dig though. He's got the dig. Yeah. What is this? What weight is this at though?
Welter, I think.
Yeah, but man, he did most of his damage at 140. Really, if you think about it, he did have that close fight over Pauly, but I don't know. I think it could be a good fight while it lasts. I mean, Kano obviously isn't going to just cover up or anything like that. So Vargas against Rodriguez is interesting. Pretty close with the books. Rodriguez slight underdog, paying a little bit better than even money. Obviously, I'm interested in seeing Andy Cruz too. I think he's obviously, considering his amateur background and what we've seen already, he's one of the best prospects at 135. Again, back to that stacked ass division that you can possibly imagine. So it's a decent undercard, and I'll be curious to see if Andy's seeing something with Kano that I'm not. I don't particularly see it.
Andy might well be. I think Giasov's gonna do a number on him, maybe, Andy. I know Kano's a bit of a puncher, but he's been bought in to lose, isn't he, against Giasov? I'm trying to think of some of the guys he's fought in the past. Perez, Emmanuel Taylor, Wisting Campos, Calderon in his last fight.
He stopped Linares and around.
Yeah, but he's another one he's no step
Wash Linares, though, that was 140.
Very lush, Linares.
But guys off isn't step up in class fighting anybody else either, to be fair, so just don't know. Maybe takes his eye off the ball a wee bit, and Canelo can maybe slip a shot in there. You just don't know. But yeah, I'll probably. To be fair,
he'll pace up Canelo, won't he?
He probably will, but I think he'll do it on points possibly. I know he's been knocked out before, Canelo, but I don't rate guys off as a puncher unless it's like accumulation and it's a mercy stoppage type of thing. And he's taking too much shots, but excuse me, I think guys off probably on points.
Guys off on points. Rob, what about the main event itself there? Berlanga against Padraig McCrory. I know we were briefly talking about this in the chat with Dave Lee before. I know Padraig myself personally, known him for years, watched his career from the very beginning, and I like him, but I just think his style might be tailor-made for Berlanga. I don't rate Berlanga in the slightest. I just think that right hand coming over the top, Padraig's a bit straight up, caught cold first 2 or 3 rounds. I think it might be a long night for him. It might be a short night if he's not careful.
Yeah. He probably acquit himself well in spells, but I think you're right in what you're saying. I think he's just a level off where Berlanga is, and that probably comes out in the wash midway through the fight. I'd say Berlanga start breaking him down. Yeah, I know what you're saying about Berlanga as well. Kind of touted for bigger things. I think there's probably stuff going on outside the ring with him, or an attitude problem, or something. He's not as for the reason being he's not as where he should be. You know that way, because he was fucking. He kind of has a fucking shit. Killer's attitude as well, bad attitude, a bit nasty in there as well. So he kind of has everything going for him, but like you said, he hasn't said it a lot. And I know what you're saying. He's not. You don't think he's fucking box office by any means, but I'd say he's probably a couple of levels above McCrory. We'll see. We'll see. That's Saturday night as well.
Yeah, Saturday night. Yeah, 12 rounds.
So are you going to be in the mix for that one, or is that away from home for McCrory?
Oh no, to wait over in Florida.
All right, okay. I should go get a trip to Florida. It'll be fucking nice.
I've been to Florida before. It is very nice.
Yeah, lovely place. But yeah, no, I'm going over there as well. No, I'd say Berlanga stoppage before round 6.
Yeah. Yeah, even not Matty, maybe not the levels. I just think it's the styles, and this one's all wrong. Like I said, Padraig's quite upright. He can punch a bit. If he gets on the jab and frustrates Berlanga, I think he might do okay. But Quigley managed to frustrate Berlanga, won quite a few rounds, but then he tucked up a lot of movement. But it was Berlanga's kryptonite, which I go back to the style again. Padraig's a bit more stationary. His back's going to be against the ropes. He's going to be trying to jab with him. I just think stylistically he's all wrong for Berlanga, who can punch if nothing else.
Well, and didn't Berlanga put Quigley down 2 or 3 times despite that? Yeah, I mean, I would think that this might be a fight for Berlanga to look a little bit better than he has recently. But if for some reason it's a close fight and it goes to the cards, I would expect him to take it, because I think if they don't get Munguia against Canelo somehow, the only obvious fight that they really have to make on that side of the road is Berlanga against Munguia. So I think all signs point to trying to protect that O of Berlanga's so they can sell that fight a little bit better.
I was wanting to see that too. I think that'll be a fucking. I think that'll be a
Puerto Rico clash.
Classic value fight, like not a big fucking draw worldwide, but a niche boxing fight, like where two of them have a good story, to be a good rivalry, and they go and fucking meet in the middle of the ring, bang it out. Like that'll be a cracker. So yeah. I hope McCrory does well and everything.
No, I do too.
I want to see Berlanga versus Munguia. That's the fight I want to see for both of them next. Like.
Mm-hmm. Andy, final word to you. Berlanga, he's had a strange career, hasn't he? They built him up on that early knockout thing. He kept knocking people out in the first round, and Top Rank, a bit of a slip there. Top Rank went that route with him to kind of keep him knocking those people out early.
Get him out of here, Daryl.
To keep the gimmick going, Andy. To the detriment of his progression, I thought. And now, in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights, he's gone the distance every time, which shows that the first round knockouts were indeed a gimmick.
Yeah, it was, mate. And again, just obviously, I'm just going back through his early opponents here and that, and you can see why they're all kind of first round knockouts. Gets like a guy like Marcelo Caceres, who he'd faced, I think he'd faced, was it Billy Joe?
Yep, he had, yeah.
Aye, so he'd been in with decent opposition, so he obviously knew how to kind of go the distance. But I think he probably will win by knockout as well. But one part of me thinks as well is if McCrory is able to get this into deep waters, maybe gets it in a bit of trench warfare, Berlanga hasn't got the greatest engine, and you just never know. But yeah, I think Berlanga probably will win. But I'm the same as you, mate. I don't rate him whatsoever, to be fair. The type of opposition that he's fighting at the minute isn't anything better than what he's been fighting for the last 4 or 5 fights, what you mentioned. So just need to see how it goes. But as I say, I would like to see it be competitive. I'd like to see it go into the later rounds and to see how that Berlanga tank would hold up, and if McCrory's able to give him any problems with the power that he's got as well. So let's say for bet, I'll say Berlanga where I'll go late stoppage.
Yeah, I think if anything, Berlanga has a pretty good tank. I mean, that's when he got his knockdowns against Quigley. It's he seems to be able to go the distance pretty well. It's just he's limited on his boxing ability.
Yeah, if you show him a bit of footwork and a bit of movement, I think he struggles.
Yeah, he'll just fucking bite you.
Okay, right, that will do. Is there anything I've missed, Matty? Any fights that's coming up next week that I might not have thrown into the schedule? I know we did go through them beforehand.
Yeah, probably, but who cares?
Who cares? Let's just get on. Let's get on to the Bellew of the week for episode 560. Steve's here hosting. That's me. Matty's here. Andy's here as well. Harvey Price Boxing returns earlier. Requested a special intro for the Bellew of the week, and I'm happy to deliver. We haven't heard this one in a while. It's an oldie, but a goodie.
I tell you what, I was just going to point out, you've been nominated for become the British Ambassador of Fighting Sports, and we might as well take today just to remind everyone we're getting closer. We've been nominated for a big award this year.
Come on, son. Where's the graphic? Where's that graphic when I need it? There we go. Who's the odd man out? Is it me, or the true Paris Hilton, or that woman at the top? Looks like a wig stuck on Jade Goody's head. There was it at the end when she was having the treatment. You can't make any jokes about it. No, it's not a joke. I'm just saying, I wonder if that was a wig stuck on at the end. I don't like it. That doesn't suit her. And then the woman who's next to me on my right, the screen's left, I don't even know who she is.
Miranda Cosgrove. She is iCarly of Nickelodeon fame.
Well, she may be iCarly. Anyway, the 4 of us are up for an award, Broadcast News Award, on June 18th. at the Hilton Hotel in central London. Tickets are £275.
You buy mine?
No, I'm not buying yours. So we're going along to that, and the Jade show actually, which was the last few weeks of her life. I've got to be honest with you, and I'm not joking. I'm not saying it was on Living, a channel I didn't even know existed. It was quite good. I've got to be honest with you. It was because it was suddenly there was no hype. It was just this woman slowly dying in front of the cameras, which I found quite entertaining. And it was very good because she was dead and it was honest, it was truthful. As for that Paris Hilton thing, I swear, Andy, if we lose out, I'll tell you what, if Jade loses out to Paris Hilton and we lose out to Paris Hilton, I'll be sick as a parrot. And iCarly can come again, man. Jade can't. You know what I'm saying?
I've completely lost any track of what you're saying.
Yeah, I have as well.
I will add that I thought the Jade program was fantastic, but for a completely different reason. I thought it was very heart-rendering stuff. But
it was heart-rendering
plenty
stuff.
still to come here on the Boxing Hour as we hope to speak to promoter Asylum.
It was heart-rendering stuff. He was going to go again, wasn't he? Then at the end,
But you know what happened to him? He made the wig joke at the start, and then he panicked and he kept talking. Do you know that way? Like he just kept fucking going and going and going. And
which is not like
and then he goes, no. And then he said, I missed it. This is the first million times that I've seen it. But he said, it was on a channel called Living. Not for long. You know what I mean?
To be fair to him, the fact that he didn't say that either of them looked like a tranny was a step up for Buck.
I've got that one here somewhere as well, Matty.
That's in the can. Look like a couple of brothers.
No wonder Santana went out the fucking game.
It's mad to see how that happened in retrospect, isn't it? Jesus.
Here's Honestron. He says, lads, you need to go to at least 1080p instead of 720p. It will improve your top rank for YouTube searches. There you go.
So we can't even get 720p in the super chats. What are you talking about? 1080p's. Fucking ambitious.
That's good. That's quality.
Yeah, thanks for that. All right, let's move on to the boy of the weeks as best we can. Nontshinga celebrating his win in a bizarre fashion, says A-Tockers 4. We got a bit of stick for this one. I like Joe Kennedy's comment there, Andy. There goes the Saudi paycheck.
I'm thinking when I was watching that, I think it's so good. You see the last time when he got knocked out, they just put his hand on his shoulders and rub his balls, try to wake him up like the street fights in Africa, man.
It wouldn't be as bothersome if his hand wasn't around the back of his head, like pulling him in for it.
It would have been even worse if he was trying to slip the fucking tongue in there at the same time.
How do you know he's not?
Well,
I was like, I knew I hadn't seen Dr. Joseph in a while. Once he went up there, now I know. Imagine someone fucking clipped that and said to Dr. Joseph, "Is that you, pal?" Oh my god!
They probably have. They probably have.
Well, they're going now.
Big job.
Oh dear, he's stopped responding to me as Dr. Joseph. Lee McGregor
Has
says
he?
for everyone. Yeah, he hasn't responded to my last two calls out, unfortunately. So I think he's had enough of us. I'm not on Twitter that much, so.
And then they just fucking get too big for us. You know what I mean?
I know exactly. For everyone asking, I'm finalising my next few fights with my team as we speak. I'm in the gym every day working. At Isaac Lowe keeps saying he wants the fight. My team are in talks with his team now, so the fight should be done very soon. Back to Scotland for big fights this year also. Isaac wasn't happy with this. He jumped in and said, I want the fight more than you. I want to put you to sleep and retire you.
It's doing well there, in fairness. I kind of know what he means.
Close.
Big call out. Here's an even bigger call out
What
for
weight
you,
would that
Matty.
be, actually? Just out of curiosity.
What is it, Andy?
Sorry, what weight would that fight be at? McGregor and...
I've lost track of them. What is it? 126 would it be?
Scrabble weight.
Featherweight. Scrabble weight, aye. He's fucking McGregor got up to featherweight now. Bloody hell.
Oh dear. Australia, get ready. Mental Australia. Wait, is there? What is there to see other than a fat bastard shouting "Bosh"? Serious question though, Rob. I mean, what's going on here? What do you get if you buy a ticket to the Fishers Down Under?
Imagine the CO2 emissions for that plane carrying that fucking weight, by the way. Jesus, fuck.
I don't know, man. Fucking Fatter Dave comes out. Maybe Paul Hogan, Ebony Bridges. Yeah. Great bunch
It
of
would
lads
be
in Australia,
amazing,
I
by
don't
the way.
know.
See if that wee guy for fucking see the wee child that was in Mad Max with the fucking metal boomerang. Hopefully he appears and fucking assassinates the two of them in the fucking thing, man. Fucking
I really
bosh
don't. I
father
don't.
on. What the?
But I tell you, if anyone's wondering where Ozzie Smith is, he's out in Warsaw at the moment, but it hasn't stopped him. You wonder why he's not contributing to the pod, because he's in my Instagram DM sending me John Fisher videos every fucking day. I think he's lost a bit tonight, we thought. So good for he's in credit apparently, John. Like the Nutters in the Get Fit fucking Nutters group that we're not in. Eddie Hearn's fucking guys, they're all going running with fucking Eddie Hearn and Parsons and all doing 10Ks. Frank Smith in
Big
the Nutters
John's no
group.
fucking
Get a
going
life.
running anyway, mate. Probably him do the hammy or something.
Sorry,
like that.
Hearn.
Running out of time, I think.
Running around the island.
See the thing is, today, Big John's going out there in the height of summertime. He will fucking melt earlier, by the way.
I'm just trying to think what are like the traditional
He'll
Australian
look like something
dishes.
fucking afterbirth. That's what's going to happen there. He'll fucking melt.
They don't have any traditional dishes because they're a nation of convicts.
It's fucking six different t-shirts because you need to ring them out all the time with the fucking fucking bash.
Kangaroo chow mein for John. We wish him well down in Australia.
Imagine you fucking saved up a few quid and you went out to Australia and you wanted to fucking go Bondi Beach and you looked up like
there's John in credit.
I just think it's great that for a brief moment the koala will not be the dumbest animal in Australia.
They're horny, aren't they, koalas?
They just have a lot of problems, Rob, and their brain is disproportionately small for the size of their skull, so they're just kind of dim in all ways imaginable. They're like infested with STDs. They eat a plant that doesn't give them the nutrition.
You talking
that they
about the
actually
fishes
need
or
to
koalas?
survive.
No, it's koalas. Apparently, I only found this shit out recently. Not that I've been around any koalas like the fucking, but koalas have herpes or something, or chlamydia or something. And they say, like, if you hold a koala over in Australia, like, don't get too close. These motherfuckers have chlamydia. Like, imagine coming back to the missus. So, look, I swear to nothing. Like, I just put this koala in my hands. Yeah, chlamydia, baby. I don't know what the fuck happened.
That's like a PED excuse, isn't it? That? I don't know how it got into me.
Yeah.
Hannah Gabriel's.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Have a swallow.
Vic Glazer gets nominated as usual. He said, "Good morning."
Maybe that's giving credibility to the fucking AIDS theory, though, that it came from a monkey, isn't it? Because before, like, I was like, "Who's fucking a monkey?" Like, but maybe if just koalas just give you a casual chlamydia, maybe. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's a fair point. I think.
Casual
Vic Glazer.
chlamydia needs to be a more common term. I like that.
Rick says that Canelo has given the PBC an extension on his escrow funding. Let's see if the funding account happens. Hold off with your insults so we'll see the results over the next 2 weeks, etc. Stephen Espinoza. I love the way Espinoza, nothing is beneath him. Like he's not afraid to get onto Twitter. Escrow, guarantors, comical. And then Lou DiBella jumps in, industry insider, and then puts up a picture of Rick giving a wave with his false teeth falling out.
Is that false teeth? Or is that chew tobacco he's fucking got in there?
Oh, I dread to think, man. You don't want to zoom in on that, Andy.
Oh, fuck that, mate. Jesus.
I love the way at the same time, right? Rick Glazer's apparently like a nobody or a no mark, and nobody really knows what he does. But he still like gets the full attention of Espinoza and Lou DiBella. Like he's getting under their skin so bad, like that they can't fucking. It's like kind of John Fisher for Ozzy, isn't it?
Oh dear me.
It is kind of cool to have a name where if you went into porn, you could just keep your regular name. So
Razor. The Razor. Andy, here's one for you. Mauricio Suleiman doesn't let an opportunity go in by past fight.
It's a Super Bowl.
Oh, dearie fucking me.
It looked like he put a lot of time into that. Wasn't just a spur of the moment decision.
I wonder if they had to pay sanctioning fees.
He must get high on acid, man, and then come up with these fucking designs, eh?
He looks like he gave the fucking young fella a packet of markers and said, "Colour that in, will you?"
Paint by numbers.
Everyone wants a piece of that Taylor Swift money, you know?
Yeah. Why not? Well, she could be joining up with David Hay soon.
Wished.
Playboy star Rob admits cheating on Hugh Hefner during fling with David Hay. They are
nice. How's this in the Bellew of the week? This should be
here's
a compliment.
Here's a wee fact for you.
Forget Roy Jones. Y'all must have forgot about David Hay. What a man, guy. What a fucking fella this guy is.
Hey,
fucking one of the worst fucking bluffers as a fighter, but in the fucking out of the ring, Top 5 dead or alive.
You could probably nail down as to when he done it to actually, because David Hay is one of those people who's actually had a fight.
He fought in it, didn't he? That's right.
In the mansion itself. Go look at BoxRec.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, he did early on in his career. He fought in the Playboy Mansion.
So he's in probably then, like as part of his.
It was his 2003. It was 2003, Andy. It was his 5th fight against Vance Wynn. So it was win-win for Hay. First round TKO. Jack Reese was the referee in the Playboy Mansion, Beverly Hills. There you are.
Yeah,
apparently it was over after one round with your woman as well, and she was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "Look, I don't get paid for overtime in this business."
Who else was on the card?
Jeff
Lacey.
Caught him on the ropes, just finished the job, right?
Jeff Lacey was in the main event against Richard the Alien Grant. Do you remember Richard the Alien Grant, who got knocked out by James Butler? There you go.
We know what happened to fucking Jeff Lacey after Calzaghe now, finally. He ended up in the Playboy Mansion. It was a fucking happy ending, really. In a lot of ways.
I no longer feel bad for him.
Oh, dear. What else have we got here? Here's Danny Glover. He says, caught up with my guy Dean White and seems we could be seeing Dillian White back real soon. Also, had his first world title fight on his show last night with a great result. Team Clegg Boxing capturing the IBO Youth World Flyweight title. World title is a bit of a stretch, that one, isn't it?
The IBO Youth World Flyweight title, so IBO version of the Youth World Flyweight title. That's prestigious enough.
What age is the guy? 26?
I don't know.
I wish they'd leave the kids out of this.
Shout out to Black Box Global. They put that one on. Here we are, Rob. Here's one for you. Big Sexy's back, fighting bare knuckle.
Oh, fuck.
Against Kingpin.
Jesus.
With MMA gloves. Sorry, it's not bare knuckle.
Fucking Jesus, man.
Where's this on in Russia?
It was on, over the weekend. It was on Friday night.
Oh, it was on
Steve,
already? Who won?
I don't know.
Steve.
What was it?
Sorry. Yes, Andy? Let me see. Sean Turner. Kevin Johnson. Doesn't say. Pravda.com has a report on it. That should be legitimate enough. Kevin Johnson turned out to be 15 kilograms lighter than Sean Turner before their fight. He fought 9-time Irish champion. They took in a weigh-in, so it's only the weigh-in here. Sorry, it doesn't actually say. Turner promised to knock out Johnson in the main event. Johnson called himself a Russian and said he would easily defeat his opponent. There you go.
I'll Google.
Tucker Carlson in fucking his corner, Kevin Johnson's corner, rubbing his shoulders.
There doesn't seem to be any scores, unfortunately, of this. They held an open training session though in the Dynamo volleyball arena in Moscow.
Big Sexy's over getting the fucking guap. That's what you want.
Hey, in the words of a former president, Russia, if you're listening.
Right, I found
Kevin Johnson might be great for battle on the front lines. Consider him.
Draw, says Tosh, Andy.
Oh.
No. Apparently, Big Sexy got stopped by technical knockout.
No way.
It says here, American. Oh, this is the translation. American boxer Kevin Johnson, who received Russian citizenship in January, dedicated his first victory under the Russian flag in Samara. Johnson's opponent, Irishman Sean Turner, lost by technical knockout.
Jesus. Well, I hope we got a lot of ruples.
Hopefully that translation's right. Johnson's opponent, Irishman Sean Turner, lost by technical knockout. Oh
well. Maybe have a rematch.
Safety pin, pulling at that pin, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Safety's off the safety's off the Glock at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Over in Russia.
There's the boys. I'm not sure who produced this, but family business.
Amazing.
Pedward.
Amazing.
Barry Asian babes heron.
And the little Aussie fat geezer.
The little spotty fat T-boy should be T-boy.
Oh dear.
Go back to the body. I just keep thinking of the two of them sparring.
You imagine Barry Heron, I fucking own you. When you're on tour, I fucking own you. Get back in the cupboard with a Kansas Stella, you old cunt.
Asian babes. Amazing.
He likes that soft ass Asian porn, doesn't he? There's like, it's just like
pixelated and all.
No, it's not pixelated, mate. You didn't even get to see any of that. It's just basically like the top half and them fucking munting and grunting and shit, you know. There's wee Barry there with his 4-incher fucking.
Are you sure he's not? Are you sure he's not into the hentai section of that
There's an
Japanese
image I
porn?
didn't know that I fucking needed on a Sunday night, but now I have it.
Oh, Michael Thompson has tagged me in here. What's he saying? There was a late Bellew of the week in the Nutters group. I'll go and have a look at that for that in a minute, Michael. Don't worry.
Get shove it life and out Nutters group.
They are. Matty, isn't that what you were referring to earlier?
There you go.
Fucking hell, man.
Rob, doesn't she look like
James
Boots
Brown?
Collins?
Who's that? Francis.
That's his granny, Foster's granny.
That's his grandmother, is it?
She's loving life, man.
Easy, but it sure ain't fun. She looks like Bishop Magic Don Juan.
Living in America.
You notice she's not. No, she's not. She's not smiling. She's probably like, "You told me we were going to a taping of Soul Train."
Keep it in the family. That's what I say.
Yep, Foster's on his laptop there.
There's
Eddie. Andy.
Hey, vato.
He's a bad man, isn't he?
Yes.
Looks like he's in the fucking background of the bathroom scene in Training Day.
Oh, right. This is the one Michael was referring to earlier. Boxing Ho 1 tweeted out, breaking news. Campbell Hatton applies for an American passport as it is rumoured that he will be the one facing Canelo Alvarez in May. Source at Real Rick Glazer. And Rick jumps in and says, "You've been reported to Twitter /X, and since I'm a subscriber account, they will act upon it."
Ooh. Take that, Boxing Ho. You serious boxing account.
Rick's class, isn't he, man?
He's amazing.
Rick Grass.
Rick Grasser.
He treats Twitter like the way an old man treats his lawn.
I'll put a bloody knife in it. All right. What have we got? Let's see. I think that's all the ones I got, actually, Andy. Didn't you say you had one for Rolly?
Aye, I haven't got. I've got the video, mate. I don't know if you're able to play it, but it goes on for about 2 minutes, so it's probably not worth it. But anyway,
It's brilliant.
Rolly's admitted that Gervonta's just basically gave him a fucking
Baptism.
Basically, aye. He's blessed him, mate. He has blessed him. He's fucking basically sent him on the righteous path now. He is no about the bitches and Benjamins and all that type of stuff anymore. It's straight focus for Rolly Romero. It's a straight road. So we'll wait and see where he crashes and burns from here on in. So
some of the quotes included after Gervonta, I got rid of the trash. And I just got rid of all the trash in my life. And the trash come back and I pushed the trash away. What the fuck, he scrambled his circuits, didn't he, Tank?
Spending too much time with Oscar, I think.
I'll never forget when Gervonta landed that last shot, by the way. Literally, his eyes look away into the fucking bleachers. He's just he's just like expression on his face. It's like, I am fucked.
Oh shit! Like, I got Jim Lampley. I got a little overconfident, a little loosey goosey. Tank fucking put his head into orbit. I tell you what, I love Tank, by the way. Not really Bellew of the week, but he was giving fucking Devin Haney a bit of shithousery because Haney they were going back and forth on Twitter. I'm free, you're free. Let's make the fight or whatever. And Tank was like, make this fight or whatever to Eddie, I think. But he was on his Insta going, we already ready to go to 40, bro. Poking fun at Bill Haney when Bill Haney was caught on camera.
Yeah.
Saying like, if it gets too hot at 35, we're all ready to go to 40. And he's like, we already ready to go to 40, bro. So I love Tank. Like, I have question marks over his resume, but I do think he'd fight anyone and fucking probably knock any of them out as well. Like.
Yeah, I agree with that. Any others, Andy, you have for us?
Nothing, mate.
No problemo. Matthew, what do you have?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing from Matthew, nothing from Oz. Anything from you, Rob?
No, nothing really for me.
Nothing much from Rob either. Let's go through them then and make our picks and get out of here for another night. We had Nontshinga and Joe Kennedy going back and forward. Lee McGregor and Isak Lowe. We had the Bosch crowd going down under. Rick Glazer was on Twitter getting attacked by Espinoza and DiBella. We had Mauricio Suleiman with his belt. David Hay in the Playboy Mansion. IBO Youth World Flyweight titles. Big Sexy apparently getting knocked out with the MMA gloves by Kingpin. Keeping it in the family business there for the Hearns. We had Oshaki's Granny, Loving Life. Eduardo And Rick Glazer again going in on the boxing hoe. Oh, and we'll throw in Haskins as well. Well, no, not. And his dance partner, Love
That
Freak.
needs changed to Love Prick by Love Freak.
And all the ones the boys mentioned. Who are you going for this week? Matty?
Oh, God damn it. Let the other guys go first. That's a pretty weak week.
Yeah, it's quite weak, but I'm going to go for Granny Foster.
Matty, two times over here.
There you go, Granny Foster. I'll go with Andy. I am in no mood to argue.
Week. 2 for 2. Rob, who are you going for this week?
We keep it Granny, won't we?
Keep it Granny. Keep it Rooney. He's coming into boxing, isn't he? Wayne Rooney.
I hope he don't fight fucking badly. He knocked him out, didn't he, in the kitchen?
That's right. I feel badly, wasn't it?
Fucking stretched him.
What are we getting? Rooney versus Freddie Flintoff? What's going on?
Oh my God! Could you imagine?
Saying there was Rooney versus who was it?
Jake Paul. Was the weren't they?
Rooney versus Jake Paul. Yeah.
Wait, Rooney.
Short night's work for fucking Jake Paul, wouldn't it? Like,
yeah.
Easiest
well,
money
Rob's right,
away.
man. The only time you've seen him fighting, he got ironed out, didn't he? Do you remember? He
Phil
hit his head on the
Bardsley.
counter. Yeah.
Phil Bardsley.
But two of them were steaming though, weren't they? They were fucking drunk, like, and each other's heads in the gaff. One punch, a jab, two. Fucking flatten him. Fucking flatten him. It was hilarious, that actually.
Fucking Phil Bardsley was a bit of a hard dude, like he was.
Yeah, decent player for Bardsley. Give him that, like.
Yep, he could be finding his way into the boxing. So, who are you going for, Rob? Sorry, did you say you're going for old Shaky's Granny as well?
Yeah, we got it, kind of, because I can't remember the rest of the nominations. So pretty close, so.
Oh, Granny Foster.
By default.
Granny Foster. Congratulations. We'll make it 4 for 4. We'll all go for Granny Foster. You are the Bellew of the Week winner for episode.
I'm looking at Granny Foster thinking, I'd wear that, like. I don't know, like. Probably get away with that.
Oh, dear me. Right, what else have we got before we get out of here? We had a super chat earlier from Beatbot Boop. Jack Dempsey versus Rocky Marciano. Who would have won, he said. Keeping it nice and topical there. Thank you very much for that. What else did we have as well? Well, actually, Des Watson joined the Patreon. Congratulations to him. I thought he was already in it. Shows how much I know. Des Watson, he's back with us anyway over at patreon.com/boxing asylum. Any thoughts on that, Rob, quickly before we go? Dempsey Marciano, you weren't around for that one, no?
I might as well have been growing up with that. Fuck me, his two favourite fighters. Like, I think Marciano, a lot of his wins, even though he was only 13 stone himself, I think a lot of his wins were against smaller heavyweights and blown up light heavyweights. Ezra Charles, Archie Moore, fellas on the smaller side. And I know Dempsey got kittens from Tony, who was a light heavyweight as well, but he had a side-to-side style and he did drop him. So is there a case of Marciano knocks Dempsey out? I don't know. I think Dempsey would knock him out.
There you go.
With me.
Yeah.
I think he's too big. I think he's too big for him.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks very much, boys. Thanks to everybody who's in the chat as well. Throw a like, subscribe, do all those beautiful things if you wish. Thank you to Matty for being on tonight. He'll be in the hot seat next week. Thank you to Andy as well. And to Rapping Rob Kelly. I've been Steve Wellings. We'll catch you all again same time, same place next week for episode 561. Don't have nightmares. Bye.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to and move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year aim. 7-year aim. I will fucking smash. Fuck you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing science. As simple as that.